Chapter 404. The starfire seed was activated and a wisp of starfire was born. It swam around Yixing's body and came to his hand. This wisp of starfire was as thin as silk and was difficult to see with the naked eye. The death aura inside the corpse jade was also as thin as silk. Only the flame that was as thin as silk could refine the death aura without refining the star energy. The thin wisp of starfire passed through Yixing's fingertips and entered the corpse jade. Under the scanning of Yixing's superbrain, whether it was the thin wisp of starfire or the death chi, Yixing could see them clearly. Under Yixing's control, the starfire followed the path of the death aura in the corpse jade. Everywhere it passed, the death aura was incinerated and disappeared without a trace. After about 20 breaths, Yixing retrieved the wisp of starfire from the corpse jade. The corpse jade no longer had any death chi. Only pure starfire seed was left. It could be refined and absorbed directly without any side effects. This kind of corpse jade could be continuously absorbed and its value would increase greatly. Yixing definitely did not lose out by bidding for it with 3,500 mid-grade star crystals. Yixing was not in a hurry to absorb the corpse jade. Instead, he put it away. Time passed. The following auction items were also valuable and precious. For example, there were high-grade spirit weapons. However, they were not attractive to Yixing. It was not until the last item of the auction that Yixing's spirit was lifted and he sat up straighter. Next, let's begin the last auction of the day. I believe everyone already knows the item being auctioned. Many of you are also here for this item. Ha! The final winner will depend on who is more generous. Bring her up. As soon as the auctioneer finished speaking, two female warriors immediately brought a beautiful woman who was about 20 years old and dressed in red onto the auction stage. In VIP room 079, Yixing immediately stood up. His eyes were filled with shock. The woman in red was senior sister Lin Tongyu. After not seeing her for several months, Lin Tongyu had lost a lot of weight. At this moment, Lin Tongyu's eyes were staring straight ahead. She was completely lishless. Her body was completely controlled by the two cultivators who were supporting her. Wherever they supported her, she would go. Clearly, Lin Tongyu was under mind control. Yixing squinted his eyes. His gaze became sharper as he clenched his fists tightly. The anger in his heart instantly boiled. If he had enough strength, Yixing would not have waited until today. He would have killed his way into the White Bones auction house last night and forcefully snatched Lin Tongyu away. He would not have allowed Lin Tongyu to be auctioned off today. Senior sister, I promise you that this will be the last time you'll be humiliated. Although I don't have the strength to snatch you back, I have enough mid-grade star crystals to let you escape this quagmire and never be humiliated again. Today, no one can take you away from me. Yixing muttered to himself and swore. After Lin Tongyu was supported onto the auction stage, the auctioneer continued, everyone can judge for themselves how the auction item looks like. I won't introduce it. Such a beautiful and fairy-like virgin slave with a cultivation of the 6th level of the Star Vortex realm is extremely rare. The starting price is 5,000 mid-grade star crystals, and each increment must be no less than 100. Friends, please release your forthright spirit and begin the auction. 5,000. 5,100. 7,300. 7,500. 9,000. The bidding voices all came from the VIP rooms. Although there were many perfected persons in the hall, they could only sigh at such a price. There were many perfected persons in the true Xian territory. Although the ratio of rich people was not high, there were still many perfected persons who were rich. The starting price of 5,000 mid-grade star crystals had already exceeded the value of an upper-grade spiritual weapon. However, there were still many people who bid. The price continued to rise. Soon, it rose from 5,000 to 9,000. Compared to the starting price, it was almost double. I'll bid 10,000. An arrogant voice came from VIP room 7. The voice was filled with disdain, as if he did not care about many people who bid. The person who bid was naturally the fire cloud sect's disciple, Yun Tianhao. The highest bidder had only bid 9,000 mid-grade star crystals. The moment Yun Tianhao opened his mouth, he raised the price by 1,000 mid-grade star crystals, causing the auction price to break through 5 digits. Even the perfected persons in the VIP rooms could not afford such a price increase. The hall immediately quieted down. 10,000 mid-grade star crystals was not a small sum. It was more than enough to buy 2 upper-grade spiritual weapons. If it was a low-grade 1-star sect in a border area, all the martial artists in the sect might not be able to gather 10,000 mid-grade star crystals even if they pooled all their mid-grade star crystals. Thus, it was obvious that 10,000 mid-grade star crystals was already an extremely high price. Moreover, the auction item was not a treasure, but a beautiful woman. Buying her back was just for enjoyment. It had no effect on martial arts cultivation. In the eyes of many, it was simply a waste of resources for martial artists to spend 10,000 mid-grade star crystals for enjoyment. They did not dare to imagine it. Of course, how generous a person's heart was depended on how much they had. 10,000 mid-grade star crystals was an astronomical figure for most martial artists. They naturally felt that it was not worth it to spend such a large price on a woman. However, to Yun Tianhao, who was the fire cloud sect's disciple, 10,000 mid-grade star crystals were not much. Furthermore, he was a 5-star perfected persons. He could go to dangerous places that beginner-level perfected persons did not have the ability to go. He could earn an astronomical amount of mid-grade star crystals. The scene was quiet for no less than 2 breaths of time before someone continued to bid, 10,100. It was a fair increase of 100 mid-grade star crystals. This was the lowest price increase. Yun Tianhao was clearly determined to win this auction. He immediately said, "I'll bid 11,000. Gasp! A large number of martial artists in the hall immediately gasped. Some poor 1-star perfected persons might only have 1,000 mid-grade star crystals on them. The poorest ones might not even have 1,000. However, Yun Tianhao's one bid was equivalent to the entire wealth of these perfected persons. Naturally, they were shocked. 11,100. I'll bid 12,000. After 2 breaths, another round of bidding occurred. The other party raised the price by 100 mid-grade star crystals, and Yun Tianhao raised the price to 1,000 mid-grade star crystals. You win. The perfected persons competing with Yun Tianhao gave up. Seeing Yun Tianhao raise the price, they knew that Yun Tianhao was determined to win. They could not compete with him. This time, it was the perfected persons in the VIP rooms who were shocked. Most of the martial artists in the hall did not recognize the person who gave up, but most of the perfected persons in the VIP rooms knew him. They could tell from the voice that it was the Boundless Sect 6-star perfected persons, Yu Gu. Yu Gu was as famous as Yun Tianhao. More than 10 years ago, Yu Gu was also ranked first on the Earth Profound ranking. Now, Yu Gu was over 35 years old. His cultivation was at the 6th stage of the astral realm. He was no longer a disciple of the Boundless Sect but an elder. He was the youngest inner elder of the Boundless Sect. If he had the opportunity, Yu Gu had hopes of breaking through to the upper stages of the astral realm and becoming a venerable. It was easy for such a person to take out 10,000 mid-grade star crystals. Even so, Yu Gu gave up on competing with Yun Tianhao. After all, Yu Gu did not have an unlimited supply of mid-grade star crystals. Moreover, with Yun Tianhao's bidding, even if Yu Gu continued to compete, he would not have any hope. After reaching a certain point, he naturally had to give up. If even Yu Gu gave up, who could compete with Yun Tianhao? Yun Tianhao immediately laughed and said, "This girl belongs to this young master." Yun Tianhao knew that Yixing also came for Lin Tongyu, but now that the price had reached 12,000 mid-grade star crystals, Yun Tianhao had already ignored Yixing. A disciple of a remote, inferior one-star sect who had just broken through to the astral realm yesterday, how could he have so many mid-grade star crystals? Yun Tianhao was not the only one who thought so. Some of the martial artists who knew Yixing's goal also thought so. However, they were obviously wrong. As soon as Yun Tianhao finished speaking, Yixing made a bid. 15,000 mid-grade star crystals. Since no one else made a bid, Yixing naturally had to make a move. Furthermore, Yun Tianhao's bidding showed that he was determined to get Lin Tongyu. However, Yixing was even more determined to get her. Even if he had to go bankrupt, Yixing would get senior sister Lin Tongyu back. He did not care about how many mid-grade star crystals he had to spend. Therefore, Yixing had to show that he was stronger than Yun Tianhao and let everyone know his determination. The price of 15,000 mid-grade star crystals had indeed startled all the martialists. Yun Tianhao was already shocking enough, but he had only raised the price by 11,000 mid-grade star crystals. However, Yixing had raised the price by 3,000 mid-grade star crystals. Not only did the low-level perfected persons sigh, but the mid-level perfected persons were also shocked. Although mid-level perfected persons were richer than low-level perfected persons, there was a limit to how rich they were. They could not casually take out 15,000 mid-grade star crystals. 99% of the mid-level perfected persons felt that it was not worth it to spend such a huge sum for a woman. They knew that the bidder was Yixing, so they did not find it strange that Yixing was willing to pay 15,000 mid-grade star crystals for Lin Tongyu. However, what was strange was that Yixing had just broken through to the Star Dipper realm. Where had he gotten so many mid-grade star crystals? Yun Tianhao also felt that it was strange, but he immediately understood. He said, "It seems like you got quite a lot of mid-grade star crystals when you destroyed the Sun-Moon Sect's stronghold yesterday, but they can't compare to mine. I bid 16,000. The martial artists in the auction hall only realized after hearing Yun Tianhao's words that the martial artist in VIP room 079 was actually Yixing, the most famous genius of the younger generation in the true Xian region. After learning about Yixing's identity, all the martial artists were shocked. Yixing was a one-star perfected person who had just broken through, yet he actually had so many mid-grade star crystals. Yixing was determined to win, so he continued to bid 20,000. In VIP room 7, Yun Tianhao smiled coldly and said, "This should be your limit. I'll pay 21,000. Chapter 405. Yesterday, the Sun-Moon Sect's stronghold had been destroyed, so Yixing must have obtained the storage rings of the 10 perfected masters. According to Yun Tianhao's estimations, the 10 perfected masters of the Sun-Moon Sect were not wealthy people. They would at most have 20,000 mid-grade star crystals. As for Yixing himself, it was impossible for him to have that many mid-grade star crystals. Therefore, Yun Tianhao was very confident that his bid of 21,000 mid-grade star crystals would be enough to force Yixing into a dead end. However, just as Yun Tianhao finished speaking, Yixing made another bid, greatly increasing the price. 25,000. Yun Tianhao raised the price by a few thousand again. Compared to Yixing, Yun Tianhao's increment of 1,000 and 1,000 seemed like child's play. Yixing's bid shocked all the warriors present. It was hard to imagine that Yixing actually had so many mid-grade star crystals on him. Even the warriors in the VIP rooms were puzzled. Their estimations were about the same as Yun Tianhao's. If Yixing had only obtained the mid-grade star crystals of the 10 perfected masters of the Sun-Moon Sect stronghold, he probably would not be able to afford such a price. However, one thing was certain. Since Yixing dared to make such a bid, he definitely had that many mid-grade star crystals on him. Otherwise, if he made a false bid and was unable to take out the mid-grade star crystals after winning the bid, the outcome would be very tragic. Yun Tianhao, who was in VIP room 7, had an unhappy look on his face as he said, "Looks like you have a little more mid-grade star crystals than I expected. However, how much more can you have?" "I bid 26,000. In VIP room 079, Yixing's gaze was sharp. He had already learned from the discussions of some warriors that his competitor was the Fire Cloud sect's Yun Tianhao. Everyone knew that Yixing was a disciple of the Qingyun region's meteor sect. Lin Tongyu, who was being auctioned, was also a disciple of the meteor sect. Yesterday, Yixing had destroyed the Sun-Moon sect's stronghold. That was enough to prove that whoever enslaved the disciples of the Falling Star sect was Yixing's mortal enemy. Yixing had to kill them without mercy. Yixing had already bid a high price for today's auction, but Yun Tianhao still wanted to compete with Yixing. Without a doubt, he didn't take Yixing seriously. Even if he was Yixing's mortal enemy, he didn't care. Yixing took a deep breath and suppressed the fury in his heart. His expression turned calm as he said, 30,000. The martial artists were shocked once again. Yixing's bid was too ridiculous. 30,000 mid-grade astral crystals. Even the wealthiest mid-grade true masters would not be able to take out that much. Even Yun Tianhao, a 5-star perfected one and the godson of the Fire Cloud sect, felt immense pressure from 30,000 mid-grade astral crystals. In VIP room 7, Yun Tianhao immediately stood up and said, 30,000 mid-grade star crystals? You're just a country bumpkin from a remote area. Can you take it out? Yun Tianhao suspected that Yixing couldn't take out so many mid-grade astral crystals and was making a false bid. Yixing snorted and said, "Why do you care if I can take it out or not? I can't afford it. Cut the crap." Yun Tianhao's face immediately turned green. His eyes burned with fury as he said coldly, "Do you know who I am?" Yixing had already treated Yun Tianhao as a mortal enemy that he had to kill if he had the chance. Why would he care who he was? Yixing said disdainfully, "You're just a pauper." Yun Tianhao was instantly enraged. Yixing actually dared to call him a pauper? At this moment, a voice rang out from VIP room 3, "No matter how many astral crystals Yixing offers, if he lacks any, my Tiangang sect can make up for it." Yun Tianhao, you don't have to worry about Yixing not having enough astral crystals. The person who spoke was Yang Gang, the previous first on the Earth Profound ranking. He was now third on the Earth Profound ranking. Yun Tianhao's cold voice rang out from VIP room 7, "So you've sucked up to the Tiangang sect. Looks like I've underestimated a country bumpkin like you. 30,000 mid-grade astral crystals. Go play by yourself. It's not that I can't afford it, but that bitch isn't worth it. Hee hee." Then, Yun Tianhao transmitted his voice to the 2 4-stars enlightened persons beside him, "Follow Yixing. When they leave 9 Heaven City, kill him and bring that bitch to me. You dare to fight me after finding the Tiangang sect to back you up? You're courting death." Yun Tianhao thought to himself. In VIP room 079, Yixing's eyes flashed with terrifying murderous intent. Yun Tianhao's actions were undoubtedly suicidal. Yixing had already sworn in his heart that if he didn't kill Yun Tianhao, he wasn't human. His cultivation technique inheritance had reached the supreme grade spiritual tier, and he could cultivate it all the way to the half-step supremacy realm. Even if Yun Tianhao was the Fire Cloud sect's godson, Yixing still had the confidence to do so. Even if Yixing wanted to kill the Fire Cloud sect's patriarch, it would still be a disaster in the future, let alone the Fire Cloud sect's godson. Yun Tianhao viewed Yixing as a country bumpkin and didn't put Yixing in his eyes. However, he didn't know that in Yixing's eyes, he was already a dead man. Since Yun Tianhao had withdrawn from the competition, no one dared to compete with Yixing. 30,000 mid-grade astral crystals became the highest bid, and Lin Tongyu was successfully bought by Yixing. The auction thus came to an end. Soon, Lin Tongyu was brought to VIP room 079 by the White Bones auction house's martial practitioners. Yixing paid 30,000 mid-grade astral crystals and said, "Please release my senior sister's seal." The White Bones sects perfected one tapped 3 acupoints on the back of Lin Tongyu's neck. Then, he pulled out a silver needle about the length of a finger from the back of Lin Tongyu's head. "It's done. She will return to normal in 12 breaths." After the White Bones sects perfected one spoke, he led his people out of the room. Looking at Lin Tongyu before him, Yixing's heartbeat involuntarily sped up. His eyes were filled with anticipation. With every breath, Yixing counted silently. When Yixing counted to 12, Lin Tongyu's lifeless eyes suddenly lit up, becoming spirited. "Senior sister." Yixing's emotions also became excited at this moment, and he called out. Lin Tongyu suddenly regained consciousness. Her eyes immediately filled with fear as her body trembled. When she realized that the person in front of her was Yixing, Lin Tongyu's expression changed from fear to surprise. "Junior brother Yixing." After the exclamation, Lin Tongyu's expression was filled with joy. She grabbed Yixing's shoulders and was even more excited than Yixing. She said, "Junior brother Yixing, you're still alive." After Lin Tongyu was captured, she was sent to the Sun Moon sect by the East supporting sect. Then, she was escorted to Nine Heavens City by the Sun Moon sect's martial practitioners. She couldn't hear any news from the outside world. The Sun Moon sect's statement to the Falling Star sect's disciples was that the Falling Star sect had been destroyed. Apart from them, everyone else had been killed and died. This included the Falling Star sect's sect master, Lu Tianyuan, and the genius disciple, Yixing. Her father was dead, her sect was destroyed, and everyone else was dead. Lin Tongyu's heart had long since turned to ashes. At this moment, suddenly seeing Yixing standing in front of her alive, how could Lin Tongyu not be excited? How could she not be surprised? Yixing nodded and said, "Yes, senior sister. I'm still alive. The sect master has already passed the position of sect master to me. As long as I'm alive, the Falling Star sect will still exist." Chapter 406. Junior brother Yixing, my father is dead. My grandfather is dead. Many elders, deacons, and disciples are dead. Lin Tongyu was very emotional. She threw herself into Yixing's arms and cried. Her tears fell like rain, and her voice was sad and mournful. When the Falling Star sect was destroyed, except for the elders and juniors who went to the Azure Cloud Ancient Land, as well as a few warriors who went out and guarded the Star Crystal Lode, the rest of the Falling Star sect's warriors were all inside the sect. However, apart from a portion of these cultivators who had surrendered to the Dong Fu sect, only Lin Tongyu and the nearly 200 disciples Yixing had saved the day before remained. The rest were mostly dead. Lin Tongyu witnessed the destruction of the sect with her own eyes. Countless of her fellow disciples were killed, and the grief in her heart was imaginable. However, after she was captured and sent to the Sun Moon sect as a slave, the grief in her heart became heavier and heavier, and she had nowhere to vent it. Until today, when she saw Yixing, Lin Tongyu finally had someone to rely on. The grief in her heart completely exploded, and she cried loudly. Yixing was affected by Lin Tongyu, and his eyes were a little moist. He could understand the grief in Lin Donyu's heart. Master Lin Fanghua's figure appeared in Yixing's mind. Although Lin Fanghua was Yixing's second master, and the time he spent teaching Yixing was not long, he was really good to Yixing. Yixing missed his master Lin Fanghua very much. Yixing was also very sad and angry about Lin Fanghua's death. Yixing gently patted Lin Tongyu's back and said, "Senior sister, it's all in the past. The Falling Star sect is still here. I will definitely make those murderers pay with their blood." Lin Tongyu had been suppressed for too long. She had no one to rely on for 3 months, and there was only pain in her life. Now that she finally had someone to rely on, her despair turned into hope. The tight string in her heart loosened, and she kept crying, wanting to release all the grief in her heart. Her father and grandfather had died one after another, and she had witnessed the tragic deaths of her fellow disciples. Lin Tongyu's little heart carried too much grief. "Senior sister, everything will be fine, everything will be fine." Looking at Lin Tongyu's crying appearance, Yixing's heart ached. Filled with pity, he gently patted Lin Tongyu's back to comfort her. Lin Tongyu cried for nearly 30 breaths of time before she finally stopped. Suddenly, she thought of something and her body shook. Lin Tongyu immediately left Yixing's embrace and said, "Junior brother Yi, there are still many disciples of my sect who were sent to the Nine Heaven City by the Sun Moon sect with me. They should still be at the Sun Moon sect stronghold. We have to think of a way to save them." Yixing gently patted Lin Tongyu's shoulder and said, "Senior sister, you don't have to worry. I've already rescued my sect's disciples yesterday. They're all safe and sound." Lin Tongyu was taken aback. She said, "Among the Sun Moon sect martial practitioners who were escorting us, there were 3 spiritual masters. Among them, Lu Onping was even a 3-star spiritual master. Furthermore, how could junior brother save us?" Lin Tongyu's face was full of shock. There was an inexplicable sense of joy in it, which made Yixing laugh. Yixing wiped away the tears on Lin Tongyu's face and said, "Senior sister, I'm now a Star Realm spiritual master. Furthermore, I won first place in the Young Hero Assembly. 3-star spiritual masters are no match for me. I've already killed Lu Onping, and the 2 3-star spiritual masters who were escorting the younger generation of the Sun Moon sect to the Young Hero Assembly were also killed by me. I've also destroyed the Sun Moon sect stronghold." Lin Tongyu's eyes were filled with surprise. She said, "Really?" At this moment, Yixing's image in Lin Tongyu's eyes began to grow bigger. Yixing nodded and said, "Really?" Yixing became incomparably tall in Lin Tongyu's heart. Lin Tongyu was surprised and sad at the same time. Lin Tongyu said, "Junior brother Yixing, in just a few months, you've actually changed so much. If father was still alive, I don't know how happy he would be. Unfortunately, father." Sigh. Yixing sighed and said, "Senior sister, the past is the past. We can't live in the past. Instead, we have to look forward to the future. The most important thing now is to rebuild the Falling Star sect and take revenge on the enemies who destroyed the Falling Star sect one by one. At that time, Master and the fallen elders of the sect will also be happy in heaven. They can smile in the underworld." Lin Tongyu nodded. She had already regarded Yixing as her pillar of support. Yixing said, "I'll take you to see the disciples of the other sects first. After that, we'll return to the Qingyun region and rebuild the Falling Star sect." After leaving the White Bones auction house, Yixing saw Yang Gang. Yang Gang represented the Tiangang sect. If Yixing did not have enough mid-grade star crystals, Yang Gang would make up for it. However, to Yang Gang's surprise, Yixing could actually afford to pay the price of 30,000 mid-grade star crystals. Yang Gang congratulated Yixing. Yixing proposed to ask the Tiangang sect's 6-star sage to escort the disciples of the Falling Star sect. After the two of them said goodbye, Yang Gang returned to the Tiangang mansion to report the matter to Wu Yu. Yang Gang could not make the decision to send a 6-star sage. Yixing brought Lin Tongyu back to the Tiangang Inn to meet the disciples of the Falling Star sect. Seeing that the disciples of the Falling Star sect were safe and sound, a smile finally appeared on Lin Tongyu's face. The disciples of the Falling Star sect were all happy to see Lin Tongyu free. Yixing told the disciples of the Falling Star sect about the itinerary. He and Lin Tongyu returned to the Qingyun region first to rebuild the Falling Star sect. The rest of the disciples were led by the Tiangang sect's 6-star sage and the Tianluo sect's 3-star sage. They returned by beast carriage. Not long after, the Tiangang sect's 6-star sage arrived. Wu Yu naturally would not reject Yixing's request for help from the Tiangang sect. Moreover, Yixing had offered 10,000 mid-grade astral crystals as a reward. Even for a 6-star sage, it was not easy to earn 10,000 mid-grade astral crystals. Many 6-star sage were willing to escort the disciples of the Falling Star sect back in less than 3 months. In the end, Wu Yu chose the peak 6-star sage, Wu Mingyi. He instructed Wu Mingyi not only to escort the disciples of the Falling Star sect back, but also to guard the Falling Star sect from now on so that Yixing could cultivate without any worries. Wu Mingyi was a member of the Wu clan and was Wu Yu's direct descendant. Naturally, he would listen to Wu Yu's orders. Wu Mingyi was in his 80s. He looked like a middle-aged man in his 40s. He wore a long black robe and exuded a vast aura. In front of the Falling Star sect's warriors, Wu Mingyi had an easygoing expression and did not put on any airs. When had the Falling Star sect ever had a 6-star sage? All the disciples were filled with reverence for Wu Mingyi. Yixing and Wu Mingyi had a discussion. They first gave him 10,000 mid-grade astral crystals before bidding farewell with Lin Tongyu. Yixing entrusted Wu Mingyi, "Sage Mingyi, I'll leave the safety of my sect's disciples in your hands." Wu Mingyi patted his chest and guaranteed, "You don't have to worry about them. I will escort them back safely." Yixing was anxious to return home. After leaving the Tiangang Inn, he and Lin Tongyu rode on the silver-winged demonic condor and flew into the sky, returning to the azure cloud region. The silver-winged demonic condor was extremely fast and it did not take long for them to leave Nine Heaven City. Not long after Yixing left the city, the 2 Fire Cloud sect's 4-star sage elders who had followed Fire Cloud sect's Yun Tianhao left Nine Heaven City and chased after Yixing. The 2 4-star sage elders had a pair of metallic wings on their backs. They were mid-grade air transportation spirit artifacts. With a flap of their wings, they streaked across the sky at an extremely fast speed. They were even faster than the silver-winged demonic condor. On a tall building, Wu Yu saw the 2 Fire Cloud sect's 4-star sage elders leave Nine Heaven City from afar. He snorted and said, "Yun Tianhao, you really don't know what's good for you. Who doesn't know that Yixing is someone that I, Wu Yu, think highly of? How dare you touch him?" With that said, a pair of azure wings sprouted from his back. It was a superior grade air transportation spirit artifact. Instantly, he transformed into an azure beam of light and disappeared into the sky. The 2 Fire Cloud sect's 4-star sage elders pursued Yixing, but they did not know that they had been targeted by an 8-star sage elder. In order to take into account Wu Yu's reputation, Yun Tianhao got the 2 4-star sage elders to take action only after they were far away from Nine Heaven City. They had to do it without anyone knowing. As for Wu Yu, he had to take into account the Fire Cloud sect's reputation. The Fire Cloud sect was one of the 9 high sections. The Fire Cloud sect's 4-star sage elders were not people he could casually touch. He had to wait until he was far away from Nine Heaven City. However, Wu Yu did not know that be it the 2 Fire Cloud sect's 4-star sage elders pursuing Yixing, or him pursuing the 2 Fire Cloud sect's 4-star sage elders, they were all seen by someone else. He Biao was topless. His muscles were like dragons, and his face was covered in a beard. His long hair draped over his shoulders, making him look like a barbarian. However, He Biao's eyes were extremely lively. They were black and bright, and they were filled with vigor. He could clearly see Yixing, who was 50 kilometers away, the 2 Fire Cloud sect's 4-star sage elders who were dozens of kilometers away, and Wu Yu who was dozens of kilometers away. Whoosh! He Biao suddenly took a step forward, and his figure disappeared in a flash. When the 2 Fire Cloud sect's 4-star sage elders were 50 kilometers away from Nine Heaven City, they were about to speed up and catch up to Yixing. However, a figure suddenly appeared in front of them, blocking their path. This person was 2 meters tall. His upper body was bare, and his muscles were like dragons. It was He Biao. He Biao did not have wings condensed from astral energy, nor did he have a flying spirit tool. However, he was standing in the void. The 2 fire cloud sect's 4-star sage elders were shaken. Only astral reaching realm sovereigns could walk in the void without the aid of flying spirit tools or astral energy. Sovereigns were a legend in the true mystic region. There was not a single sovereign in the true mystic region. Moreover, very few sovereigns came to the true mystic region. When a sovereign suddenly appeared and blocked their path, the 2 fire cloud sect's 4-star sage elders were naturally shocked. Just as the 2 were about to ask the sovereign before them, He Biao's eyes suddenly turned pitch black. Moreover, they started to spin, forming 2 dark vortexes. The 2 4-star sage elders' gazes were deeply attracted by the 2 dark vortexes. In the blink of an eye, their eyes lost their color and became lifeless. Whoosh! Whoosh! Immediately after, the 2 4-star sage elders attacked at the same time. Astral light broke through the sky and chopped at each other's necks. In the blink of an eye, 2 heads flew off from their bodies. Blood splattered everywhere. The 2 4-star sage elders had lost their lives at the same time. Chapter 407. He Biao didn't even move his hand. Just by relying on his eye technique, he easily sent the 2 4-star spiritual masters to hell. Master Wu Yu was far behind the 2 4-star spiritual masters. Although the distance was too far and he couldn't see clearly, his eyesight was astonishing. He could still see the 2 figures. At this moment, a 3rd figure suddenly appeared. Then, in the blink of an eye, the 2 spiritual masters chopped off each other's heads. Their corpses fell from the sky. This sudden change gave esteemed Wu Yu a fright. Even though he was an esteemed person, he still felt a chill in his heart. Master Wu Yu's cultivation was at Star Dipper Realm 8 stage. If he wanted to kill a 4-star spiritual master, he could do it in an instant, or even silently. However, it was impossible for him to instantly kill 2 4-star spiritual masters without making a move. Moreover, Master Wu Yu was very clear that no expert in the true Xian region could do it. From this, it could be seen how frightening the strength of the figure that suddenly appeared in front of the 2 4-star spiritual masters was. It was definitely not at the level of a master. Even from afar, Master Wu Yu could see that the figure didn't use a flying spiritual tool, but was walking on the void. Venerable. A thought flashed through Master Wu Yu's mind. He couldn't help but be astonished. Without condensing the Star Dipper wings or using a flying spiritual tool, only astral reaching realm venerables could do it. In the true Xian region, venerables were legends. For example, 100 marquis martial saints couldn't defeat a 1-star spiritual master. 100 master spiritual masters couldn't defeat the weakest venerable. There was a world of difference between spiritual masters and venerables. A venerable had unexpectedly appeared in front of him. How could Master Wu Yu not be astonished? He didn't dare to continue forward. He hurriedly turned around and returned to 9 Heaven City. In front of a venerable, the 9 great sects of the true Xian region weren't worth mentioning. If a venerable was angry, any 1-star sect would be like a chicken or a pottery dog, easily annihilated. Although Master Wu Yu was famous in the true Xian region and ranked 7th on the Heavenly Profound ranking, he was still trembling with fear in front of a venerable. Of course, he didn't dare to be rash. As soon as he saw He Biao, he turned around and returned to the city. Since Master Wu Yu saw He Biao's figure, He Biao naturally saw Master Wu Yu clearly, as if he was right in front of him. He Biao only glanced at Wu Yu, and his figure disappeared in a flash. In an instant, a voice was transmitted into Wu Yu's mind. Protect him. To protect him. Four simple words, but each word was like a sudden clap of thunder in Master Wu Yu's ears, intimidating his mind. When Wu Yu heard this, he was shocked. He immediately turned around to look, but the figure in the distance had already disappeared without a trace. Protect him. Who was he? Could it be? Exalted Master Wu Yu was astonished. His heart was greatly shaken, and his eyes revealed a look of astonishment. To protect Yixing? When Wu Yu thought of Yixing, he could not help but exclaim, "There's actually a venerable behind Yixing." This was too shocking for Wu Yu. How could Wu Yu dare to disobey the orders of the Venerable One? After the shock, he cupped his fists and bowed in the direction where He Biao disappeared. Wu Yu said respectfully, "I will follow the Venerable One's orders." How could Wu Yu dare to disobey the orders of the Venerable One? Not to mention that Wu Yu was only ranked 7th on the Heavenly Profound ranking. Even if he was ranked 1st, in front of the Venerable One, he was still an ant. All the venerables of the true Xian region added together did not exceed 50, and they were not a match for the Venerable One. Moreover, Wu Yu obeyed the order to protect Yixing. This was also a good thing. If this matter succeeded, there would be at least 2 benefits. First, there would be a reward for completing the Venerable One's orders. What kind of person was the Venerable One? How rich was he? Even if he casually gave out a spirit-level treasure, it would still be a spirit-level treasure. Second, as Yixing matured, he, as the Venerable One, would also benefit. No wonder he was not interested in joining the Sky Dipper sect. It turns out that he has the guidance of the Venerable One and can learn the profound level martial inheritance. Yixing broke through the star realm and became a Daoist at the age of 18. He still has 17 years of golden cultivation time. With such talent and the guidance of the Venerable One, he will definitely become an astral-reaching venerable in the future. It is a great honor for me to be the Venerable One's Tao protector in this lifetime. It is a good thing, a very good thing. Wu Yu murmured to himself. His expression became more and more joyful. Wu Yu raised his hand. The astral energy condensed in his palm and turned into a small bird. Junior brother sect leader, from today onwards, I will be the Tao protector of Yixing. Please let junior brother O Nan guard the 9 sect alliance for me. Master Wu Yu muttered to himself beside Xing Gang's little bird. As he spoke, he waved his hand and shouted, "Go!" Shu the astral bird immediately turned into a beam of light and flew into the distance. Soon, it disappeared from sight. The internal strength of an ordinary martial artist was the ordinary qi. The internal strength of a martial saint was the star origin. It was a type of Jin qi that was 100 times stronger than ordinary qi. The internal strength of a Daoist was the astral energy. The astral energy was 100 times stronger than Jin qi. When the astral energy was condensed, it would be as solid as a spirit weapon. Especially for a high-level astral realm venerable, the astral energy would be inconceivably solid. It would be even stronger than a mid-grade spirit weapon. Even if this small bird condensed from astral energy left Wu Yu's side, it would still take more than half a day for it to dissipate. The astral energy pierced through the sky at an extremely fast speed. In more than half a day, the astral bird had already flown to the Heavenly Dipper sect and passed the message to the sect leader. Some martial saints of the noble realm could use astral energy to speak and condense it into a line. They could transmit their voices from 1,000 miles away. As for Taoists, they could transmit their voices from 10,000 miles away. As for high-level astral realm venerables, they could transmit their voices even from 100,000 miles away. If they were astral-reaching realm venerables, they would naturally be even more powerful. After sending the message, Wu Yu revealed a smile and continued to chase after Yixing. From now on, he would be Yixing's Tao protector. He would secretly follow and ensure Yixing's safety. This time, as a Tao protector, he would be able to get close to a venerable and help a future venerable. There were many benefits. Wu Yu was naturally very happy. His face was full of smiles. However, Wu Yu had overlooked one point. He had always thought that He Biao was a venerable. However, experts who could stand in the void with their own strength were not limited to venerables. Since venerables could stand in the void, kings who were stronger than venerables could also do so. Kings were existences who stood at the peak of martial Dao in the entire star continent. In the true Xian domain, venerables were already legends. Wu Yu had lived for more than 100 years, but he had never met a venerable from outside the true Xian domain. As for kings, Wu Yu had also left the true Xian domain when he was young. However, he had never met a king in his life. He had only met venerables a few times. When Wu Yu saw the expert standing in the void, he naturally only thought that he was a venerable. He did not even think that he could be a king. A king was an existence that was completely out of reach for a perfected person. The silver-winged demonic eagle flew high in the sky. Yixing and Lin Tongyu sat on the eagle's back. The wind was blowing beside their ears. Lin Tongyu's gaze was filled with admiration as she looked at Yixing from time to time. When they were in the Yixing's performance was already very outstanding. Lin Tongyu had a whole new level of respect for him. Now that the Falling Star sect was facing a great disaster, Yixing was shouldering a heavy responsibility. First, he asked the disciples of the Falling Star sect to survive. Now, he had to return to the Qingyun area to rebuild the Falling Star sect and take revenge on his enemies. Yixing's actions not only made Lin Tongyu look at him in a different light, but also deeply admired him. In her heart, Yixing had become incomparably tall, occupying all the space in her heart. Lin Tongyu looked at Yixing. She found that this junior brother was so handsome and so valiant even when he was sitting down. He was like a jade tree in the wind, or a majestic mountain. However, the current Yixing was not as handsome as Lin Tongyu had imagined. He frowned slightly. Due to the superbrain, Yixing's eyesight was far better than ordinary people. He could see into the distance. Moreover, because he had cultivated the eye of clear cloud, the distance he could see into the distance was even more astonishing. He could clearly see everything within a radius of dozens of miles. Yixing had left the city and the two 4-star perfected persons were following him. This could not be hidden from Yixing. Yixing did not take the two 4-star perfected persons seriously. If they were plotting something and left the Nine Heavens city, Yixing would use his trump card to kill them. Yixing only occasionally paid attention to the two 4-star perfected persons who were dozens of miles behind him. The appearance of He Biao had only been for a short period of time, so Yixing did not know about it. He only knew that after a period of time, the two 4-star perfected persons who were following him disappeared and were replaced by esteemed Wu Yu. This made Yixing a little puzzled. What was the meaning of esteemed Wu Yu following him? Towards Wu Yu, Yixing was very grateful and also very respectful in his heart. However, it was impossible for Yixing not to have any thoughts about esteemed Wu Yu secretly following him. The other party was an esteemed master at the 8th stage of the astral realm. He was very famous in the true Xian domain and ranked 7th on the heavenly profound ranking. He was one of the 7 most powerful people in the true Xian domain. Who would feel at ease being followed by such a person? Previously, there were 2 4-star perfected persons who were following me. Were those 2 4-star perfected persons subordinates of esteemed Wu Yu, or did esteemed Wu Yu chase them away? Yixing was puzzled. If the 2 4-star perfected persons were esteemed Wu Yu's subordinates, then esteemed Wu Yu would not have any good intentions when he first sent people to follow him and then personally followed him. If esteemed Wu Yu helped him chase away the 2 4-star perfected persons, then it meant that esteemed Wu Yu was secretly helping him. Of course, there was another possibility for the second if, which was that esteemed Wu Yu had chased them away. However, esteemed Wu Yu was also plotting against him. Otherwise, why would he continue to follow him? Regardless of whether esteemed Wu Yu's intentions were good or bad, Yixing did not like it. Yixing had his own secrets. At certain times, he would use his trump card to kill powerful enemies who were far stronger than him. When he used his trump card, he did not want someone watching him from afar. Senior sister, you ride the silver-winged demonic eagle first. I will catch up later. Yixing instructed Lin Tongyu. Then, a pair of black feathered wings appeared on his back and he flew up from the eagle's back. If esteemed Wu Yu had any bad intentions, Yixing could only use the azure cloud wings to escape. Of course, he had to let Lin Tongyu go first. Otherwise, in front of an esteemed master, Yixing would have a hard time escaping by himself, let alone escaping with Lin Tongyu. I owe 1 chapter for both yesterday and today. The total number of chapters 10 is now 28. The plot at the back is finally straightened out. I am looking forward to it. I will speed up the updates from tomorrow onwards. Chapter 408. Behind Yixing, tens of kilometers away, Wu Yu stopped moving forward. That's impossible. I'm so far away from him. How can he discover me? Wu Yu saw that Yixing had stopped, but the silver-winged demonic eagle carried Lin Tongyu and continued to fly. He could not help but be surprised, and then he flashed into a white cloud at the side, hiding his figure. Wu Yu did not believe that Yixing could discover him. He did not understand why Yixing stopped. However, after a few breaths, his expression became one of shock. Yixing's voice was condensed into a line and transmitted into his ears. If you have something to say, why don't you come forward and meet me openly? Despite being so far away, Yixing was still able to discover him. Furthermore, he was certain that Yixing was following him. This truly shocked exalted Wu Yu. Since he was discovered, Wu Yu naturally could not hide anymore. He flew out of the cloud and soon arrived in front of Yixing. From afar, Wu Yu said, "Little friend Yixing, don't misunderstand. I don't have any ill intentions." Yixing raised his hand from afar, indicating for Wu Yu to stop. He said, "Since you don't have any ill intentions, then please tell me about your good intentions." Wu Yu was protecting Yixing under the orders of the Venerable One, but Yixing's reaction clearly showed that he did not know about this matter. Obviously, the Venerable One wanted Wu Yu to protect him secretly. Without the Venerable One's consent, Wu Yu naturally did not dare to say that he was protecting Yixing. Wu Yu smiled embarrassedly and said, "If I said that I was worried about your safety, so I secretly followed you and secretly protected you, would you believe me?" Yixing nodded and said, "I believe you. Thank you for your good intentions, but I don't need anyone to secretly protect me. If there's any danger, I have my own ways to escape. Please return." Yixing said straightforwardly because it was not important whether he believed it or not. What was important was that regardless of whether Wu Yu had good intentions or bad intentions, it was fine as long as he did not secretly follow him. Wu Yu's expression stiffened. That unknown Venerable One ordered him to protect Yixing. How would he dare to disobey? Since he was going to be Yixing's Tao protector, he naturally had to be by Yixing's side at all times. Otherwise, if Yixing was in danger and he, the Tao protector, was not by his side, how could he still be called a Tao protector? Wu Yu was in a dilemma and said, "Little friend Yixing, you have offended many experts in the true Xian domain. And this time you are also going back to the Qingyun region, you are also facing great dangers. This old man indeed only wants to ensure your safety and form a good relationship with you. I have no other intentions. With this old man secretly protecting you, there is absolutely no one in the true Xian region who can threaten your life. And if there's anything you want to do, you can ask me to do it. I will help you complete it." Yixing smiled and said, "If that's the case, then I won't be able to live a day in peace. If Venerable One wants to form a good relationship with me, protecting my falling star sect from being destroyed by other major forces is the best way to form a good relationship. As for what I want to do, I will do it myself." If everything needs to be done by humans and I just live my life peacefully, then what future does my martial way have? If Venerable One insists on secretly following me, then I can only escape from the true Xian domain and do everything I can to get rid of Venerable One's tracking. Since Yixing had said so, Wu Yu naturally did not dare to secretly follow him. Otherwise, his original intention was to protect Yixing, but he ended up forcing Yixing to escape from the true Xian domain. This was obviously not the result he wanted to see. However, Wu Yu did not dare to disobey that Venerable One's orders. He was in a dilemma. As such, Wu Yu could only be honest and said, "Little friend Yixing, the reason why I'm secretly following you is because a Venerable One ordered me to protect you and ensure your safety. Now that you don't let me follow you, and I don't dare to disobey that Venerable One's orders, what should I do? A Venerable One ordered Venerable One to protect me." Yixing was puzzled and asked in surprise. Yixing had never seen a Venerable One in his life. How could a Venerable One order Venerable Wu Yu to protect him? Wait a minute, Yixing's mind suddenly flashed and he thought of a person. He Biao. The He Biao that he met in the depths of the Qingyun mountain range. That terrifying man with explosive muscles, shoulder-length hair, and a bare upper body, who looked like a barbarian. The strongest martial artist Yixing had seen in his life was undoubtedly He Biao. This person appeared behind Yixing silently. It was only when Yixing spoke that Yixing discovered him. Yixing's sixth sense was very sharp. He had already seen Venerable One, but he was very sure that even if it was Venerable One, it was impossible for him to stand behind him without him sensing anything. Moreover, He Biao had said that he came from the distant Dark Star sect. At that time, Yixing did not know what level the Dark Star sect was. He thought that it was a superior one-star sect established by the experts of the Qingyun sect. However, after Yixing arrived at Nine Heaven City, he had bought many books that introduced the Star Continent to read. Although the books that introduced the Star Continent mainly talked about the Great Yuan Dynasty and the 12 affiliated empires around the Great Yuan Dynasty, there were also a few words that mentioned an enemy force that could contend against the Great Yuan Dynasty, the Dark Star sect. When Yixing saw the Dark Star sect, he was surprised because the name was the same as the sect that He Biao had mentioned. However, the Dark Star sect was a super force that could contend with the Great Yuan Dynasty. It was stronger than any two-star empire. It was a three-star sect, a king sect. Yixing did not dare to believe that he would meet an expert from a king sect in the Qingyun mountain range. Therefore, in Yixing's opinion, perhaps the Dark Star sect that He Biao mentioned was the same as the Dark Star sect that he had read about in the books. But now, Yixing was starting to believe it. Perhaps they were from the same sect. Therefore, He Biao was the venerable that Wu Yu had mentioned. This was the only explanation. However, there was another question that puzzled Yixing. Although he had a good relationship with He Biao, the two of them had only met once and did not have a deep relationship. Why would He Biao ask Wu Yu to be his Dao protector and protect his safety? Yixing did not believe that this was a kind of evil intention. If He Biao had evil intentions, why would he need Wu Yu to secretly follow him? He could directly take action and capture Yixing alive. Even if Yixing had a supreme-grade flying spiritual weapon, he would not be able to escape. Just as Yixing was puzzled, He Biao's voice suddenly came from afar. Yixing and Wu Yu both heard his voice. Since younger brother Yixing doesn't like people secretly following him, you don't have to follow him. Younger brother Yixing, you are very good. I am optimistic about your future. 1 year later, if you can enter the top 100 in the East Divine Continent Junior Genius Competition, I will give you a great fortune. I will wait for you. He Biao said 3 sentences in total. The first sentence was for Wu Yu, and the second and third sentences were for Yixing. Wu Yu was stunned on the spot when he heard He Biao's words. A venerable actually called Yixing younger brother. Wu Yu's heart was thumping, and he was dumbfounded. Venerables were lofty existences. Even if he was a venerable who was revered by countless warriors in the true Xian domain, in front of a venerable, he still had to be cautious and pay respects to a junior. How could he dare to call a venerable brother? Yixing's expression was also one of surprise, but not of shock. From the voice, he confirmed that the venerable mentioned by Wu Yu was indeed He Biao. He was surprised because his thoughts were confirmed. Moreover, he felt warmth in his heart for He Biao to have a venerable protect him just because he thought highly of him. Although Yixing didn't have much contact with He Biao and had only met him once, He Biao had left a deep impression on him. Enter the top 100 in the East Divine Continent Junior Genius Competition. Brother He Biao, just you wait, I will definitely do it. Yixing didn't know where He Biao was, so he operated his star gang and roared. The sound waves were like waves, and his voice was mighty and mighty, spreading for dozens of miles. He Biao didn't reply and seemed to have left. Wu Yu, who was dumbfounded, was awakened by Yixing's sound waves. When he heard Yixing call that venerable brother He Biao, he couldn't help but be speechless. The venerable called you younger brother because he thought highly of you. You really dare to call him older brother? Wu Yu knew that he wouldn't dare. Moreover, Wu Yu also felt that Yixing's promise of entering the top 100 in the East Divine Continent Junior Genius Competition was unreliable. The true Xian domain was only one of the 72 lower domains of the 108 domains in the East Divine Continent. The 36 upper domains were all two-star forces, and their disciples were much stronger than the geniuses of the 72 lower domains. Wu Yu didn't know much about the 36 upper domains. He only knew about the Blue Dragon Empire and the Green Feather Empire, which were near the true Xian domain. These two empires were both low-rank empires, and the Blue Dragon sect and the Green Feather sect behind them were two-star forces. However, according to Wu Yu's knowledge, the most outstanding disciples under the age of 25 in the Blue Dragon sect and the Green Feather sect were already at the 5th stage of the astral realm. This was only a low-rank empire. If it was a middle-rank or high-rank empire, the junior geniuses would have a better cultivation environment, better resources, and better inheritances, and their cultivation would definitely be higher. There would definitely be many 6th-stage astral realm cultivators. The East Divine Continent Junior Genius Competition would be held a year later. At that time, there would definitely be many 6th-stage astral realm cultivators. Moreover, there would be some geniuses who could challenge those of a higher level. Even if they were only at the 4th or 5th stage of the astral realm, their strength would be comparable to a 6-star enlightened being. In order to enter the top 100, one would need to have the battle strength of a 6-star enlightened being. Yixing had just broken through to the astral realm. Even if his battle strength was heaven-defying, he was still only a 3rd-star enlightened being. In order to enter the top 100, even if Yixing could still maintain his heaven-defying battle strength after becoming a middle-rank enlightened being, he would still need to raise his cultivation by 3 levels within a year. From the 1st stage of the astral realm to the 4th stage of the astral realm. When one's cultivation reached the astral realm, the time required to cultivate was much longer than the astral vortex realm. Being able to raise 1 level within a year was already considered an incredible genius. In Wu Yu's opinion, it was almost impossible for Yixing to become a 4th-star enlightened being within a year. Chapter 409. My young friend Yixing, since you do not wish for me to follow you, I won't be following you. If you have any difficulties, you can come to 9 Heaven City at any time to find me. The Fire Cloud sect sent 2 4-star perfected persons to pursue you, but they were killed by Lord Supremacy. The Fire Cloud sect will probably blame you for this. After I return to 9 Heaven City, I will settle the Fire Cloud sect's troubles. I will not let Yun Tianhao send anyone to disturb you again. Goodbye. Even He Biao addressed Yixing as his younger brother, so Wu Yu did not dare act like a senior in front of Yixing. He bade farewell to Yixing by referring to himself as a senior. After Wu Yu left, Yixing quickly chased up to the silver-winged demonic condor. He sat on the condor's back with Lin Tongyu as they continued their journey back to the Azure Cloud region. After confirming that no one was following him, Yixing sat on the condor's back with his eyes closed as he cultivated the Eye of Azure Cloud. With the silver-winged demonic condor's speed, it would take about 10 days to return to the southern part of the Azure Cloud region. To Yixing, every second was precious. His cultivation level increased very quickly, so if he wanted to keep up with his cultivation in other aspects, he had to make the best use of his time to cultivate. It was very stable on the condor's back. Furthermore, with the silver-winged demonic condor's warning, Yixing did not need to constantly pay attention to his surroundings after he left Nine Heaven City. Yixing cultivated with his eyes closed. As for Lin Tongyu, she quietly looked at Yixing in a daze. At that moment, be it sitting or standing, any posture of Yixing was the most beautiful scenery in the world in Lin Tongyu's eyes. After Wu Yu returned to Nine Heaven City, he immediately issued a warning to the Fire Cloud sect's Yun Tianhao. At the same time, Wu Yu announced to the world that Yixing was his sworn friend. The Meteor sect was the Heavenly Dipper sect's ally. Whoever dared touch a hair on Yixing or the Meteor sect would be his mortal enemy. Esteemed Master Wu Yu's public declaration and unyielding attitude had set off a great storm in the martial world of the True Xian domain. All the martial artists were puzzled as to why esteemed Master Wu Yu would help Yixing. Although Yixing had performed very well in the Young Hero Assembly, Wu Yu's performance was too excessive. However, Wu Yu's attitude was unyielding. He was like an angry bull, ready to fight to the death at any time. Even if the others didn't understand, they didn't dare to provoke Wu Yu. Damn it! Damn it! After being warned by Wu Yu, Yun Tianhao was furious. Although the two 4-stars perfected ones were not considered important figures in the Fire Cloud sect, they were still outer sect elders. Furthermore, they had received his orders to pursue Yixing. Yet, they had been killed just like that. The two Fire Cloud sect outer sect elders had been killed. Logically speaking, the Fire Cloud sect should be furious. However, esteemed Master Wu Yu had warned him that if he dared do anything to Yixing, he would take his life with his own hands. Yun Tianhao was completely helpless against esteemed Master Wu Yu's overbearing attitude. He could only rage in secret. Then, the Fire Cloud sect's esteemed elders would negotiate with esteemed Master Wu Yu. Yun Tianhao was not qualified to speak to esteemed Master Wu Yu as an equal. In the end, the Fire Cloud sect's esteemed elders were also rebuffed by esteemed Master Wu Yu. Esteemed Master Wu Yu was under the orders of the Supremacy to protect Yixing. Although he couldn't stay by Yixing's side to protect Yixing, he couldn't do nothing as a Dao protector. With the Supremacy backing him, esteemed Master Wu Yu's attitude was naturally unyielding. If the Fire Cloud sect wanted to seek justice for the two 4-star perfected persons, they would have to fight with esteemed Master Wu Yu. Esteemed Master Wu Yu was one of the Grand Elders of the Heavenly Dipper sect. Once they fought, it would definitely be a battle between the two sections. And in a battle between sects, the deaths wouldn't be limited to just two 4-star perfected persons. Apart from esteemed masters at the high level of the Astral Dipper realm, who were relatively safe in a battle between sects and were difficult to kill, all perfected persons below esteemed masters were at risk of dying if they participated in the battle. How could the Fire Cloud sect go to war with the Heavenly Dipper sect over two 4-star perfected persons outer sect elders? Faced with the unyielding esteemed Master Wu Yu, they could only swallow their anger and make concessions. Since they wanted to avoid a life-and-death battle with esteemed Master Wu Yu, the Fire Cloud sect naturally didn't dare to do anything to Yixing. Even the Fire Cloud sect didn't dare to do anything to Yixing. Even if the Earth Fiend sect hated Yixing to death, they naturally wouldn't dare. However, even if they didn't dare, they were still indignant. Since they were indignant, they definitely wouldn't let the matter rest. This was especially so for Yun Tianhao. He was extremely proud and couldn't take this lying down. On this day, Yun Tianhao arrived at the Earth Fiend sect. He was a 4-star perfected person and a disciple of the Fire Cloud sect. He had an illustrious status. The Earth Fiend sect master, Chao Yanting, personally received him and respectfully welcomed him in. After taking a seat in the guest hall, Yun Tianhao went straight to the point and explained his intentions. Sect Master Chao, your sect's genius disciple, Shi Wenxie, has been crippled by Yi Xing. This has caused your sect to lose a genius that could become an esteemed master in the future. Is your sect going to let this matter rest? Before Chao Yanting could say anything, the vice sect master, Shi Dao Tian, spoke with hatred. That little bastard caused my son to be in such a miserable state. How can we let this matter rest? However, with esteemed Master Wu Yu backing him, even if we are indignant, there's nothing we can do. Because of Shi Wenxie, the vice sect master Shi Daoqian's influence in the Earth Fiend sect was growing. His fame was gradually overshadowing sect master Chao Yanting's. Therefore, Shi Wenxie's crippling was somewhat beneficial to Chao Yanting. However, in terms of the sect, it was a great loss. As the Earth Fiend sect master, Chao Yanting was naturally indignant. He wanted to get rid of Yi Xing as soon as possible. Chao Yanting said, I heard that young Master Yun also lost 2 4-star perfected persons because of Yi Xing. I believe young Master Yun also wants to kill Yi Xing as soon as possible. I wonder what young Master Yun thinks. The corners of Yun Tianhao's mouth curled up slightly as he said, Yi Xing is under the protection of exalted Wu Yu. That old bastard is like an angry bull right now, and no one dares to provoke him. However, that's only limited to the martial artists of the true Xian domain. Martial artists from other domains might not take him seriously. Chao Yanting's eyes lit up. Young Master Yun, are you saying that we should invite people from other regions? Yun Tianhao smiled and nodded. The Green Feather Domain has a powerful assassin organization called the 7 Kill Alliance. The 7 Kill Alliance has countless experts. They even dare to assassinate high-level astral realm esteemed masters. Yi Xing has just entered the astral realm. As long as we give the 7 Kill Alliance enough money, they will definitely send people to the true Xian domain to complete the mission. The 7 Kill Alliance was a top-notch 1-star faction in the Green Feather Domain. It was very far from the true Xian domain and rarely did business in the true Xian domain. However, as long as the benefits were enough, the 7 Kill Alliance, as an assassin organization, would definitely not reject a profitable business. The Earth Fiend sect was only a mid-grade 1-star sect. It was not even considered a first-rate faction in the true Xian domain. Even the Earth Fiend sect was unfamiliar with many places in the true Xian domain. Naturally, they had not come into contact with the factions in other regions. The Earth Fiend sect only knew that there was a 2-star faction, the Green Feather Empire, in the Green Feather Domain. This was the first time the 7 Kill Alliance had heard of it. As for the Fire Cloud sect, it was one of the top-notch factions in the true Xian domain. It had contact with the martial arts factions in other regions and naturally knew more about the Green Feather Domain. When Chao Yanting heard Yun Tianhao's words, his eyes lit up. However, he quickly regained his composure and said, since young Master Yun knows about the 7 Kill Alliance, why don't you send people there yourself? Yun Tianhao smiled faintly and said, my father strictly forbids me from doing anything to Yi Xing. I can't go there personally, but no one in the Fire Cloud sect dares to defy my father's orders and obey my orders. However, I believe that as long as there is a chance to kill Yi Xing, your sect will not miss it. As he spoke, Yun Tianhao waved his hand. Instantly, a pile of mid-grade star crystals appeared in front of him. He then said, the 7 Kill Alliance is not cheap. The price to hire the 7 Kill Alliance isn't low. These 20,000 mid-grade astral crystals are the reward for this young master. If your sect can add a little more, the 7-kill alliance will definitely be more than happy to accept this mission to earn tens of thousands of mid-grade astral crystals by killing a 1-star venerable. Shi Dao Tian stood up and said excitedly, "All right, I will personally head to the Green Feather Domain and ask the 7-kill alliance to kill that little bastard." Chao Yanting smiled and said, "Young Master Yun, just wait for the good news of that little bastard being killed." Yun Tianhao smiled and said goodbye to Chao Yanting before leaving the Earth Fiend sect. Green Cloud Region. After more than 10 days, Yixing and Lin Tongyu finally returned to the Green Cloud mountain range, which was near the Star Crystal Mine. In the past 10 days, Yixing had cultivated the supreme great eyes of Green Cloud and comprehended the array formation knowledge left behind by Supremacy Green Cloud. He had made significant progress in both aspects. His Eye of Azure Cloud had successfully broken through to the entry level. The power of his Eye of Azure Cloud had greatly increased. Yixing was very confident that he could even control a Class 3 demonic beast that was equivalent to a 4-star enlightened being. As for array formation, Yixing had reached the level of a level 3 array master. He could easily set up a relatively simple level 3 array formation. Supremacy Green Cloud had left behind a lot of array formation knowledge. If Yixing could comprehend it all, he could at least reach the level of a level 3 array grandmaster. In the following period of time, Yixing's array formation skills would rapidly increase. Lin Tongyu pointed at a large array formation light shield in front of them and said excitedly, "Junior brother Yixing, we've arrived at the Star Crystal Mine." Yixing's eyesight was far better than Lin Tongyu's. He had already noticed it and his face was filled with joy. This time, Yixing could help his master, Zi Shanho, heal his feet, rebuild the and take revenge on his enemies. He was naturally overjoyed. Yixing activated his eyes of green cloud and looked into the distance. He saw through the array formation light shield and saw that everything was as usual. Soon, the silver-winged demonic eagle arrived outside the array formation light shield. Yixing activated his astral energy and shouted, "Master! Elder Gu! I'm back! I'm back! I'm back! I'm back! I'm back!" His voice was like a wave that resounded between heaven and earth. After a while, everything returned to normal. Not long after, the array formation door opened and Zi Shanho and Gu Tianshang came out together. Their faces were filled with joy. Yixing was the hope of the future. Ever since Yixing left, the two of them had been on tenterhooks. Today, Yixing had finally returned. Of course, they were overjoyed. Gu Tianshang's joyful voice sounded, "Come in quickly." Chapter 410. When the silver-winged demonic eagle flew into the light shield, Zi Shanho and Gu Tianshang were both shocked and overjoyed. First, they were surprised that Yixing's mount was the silver-winged demonic eagle, which was equivalent to 3-star venerable. Second, they were surprised that there was Lin Tongyu on the back of the silver-winged demonic eagle. Lin Tongyu followed Yixing and jumped down from the back of the silver-winged demonic eagle, greeting Zi Shanho and Gu Tianshang. Zi Shanho's expression was astonished as he said, "Yixing, what's going on here?" Gu Tianshang was even more excited, appearing in front of Lin Tongyu in a flash, his voice trembling, "Tongyu, you're still alive, still alive." Gu Tianshang was obsessed with Array Dao his whole life, and the person he admired the most was his junior brother Lin Fenghua. Lin Fenghua was younger than him, but his attainments in Array Dao were higher than his. Naturally, Gu Tianshang was also very fond of Lin Fenghua's daughter, Lin Tongyu. Moreover, Gu Tianshang had no children and treated Lin Tongyu as his own. Gu Tianshang thought that Lin Tongyu had died in the sect like Lin Fenghua and Lin Xiuyuan, so he was naturally excited to see her again. Lin Tongyu was affected by Gu Tianshang's emotions and was also a little excited. Moreover, when she saw Gu Tianshang, she thought of her dead father, grandfather, and other family members. Lin Tongyu nodded with tears in her eyes. Uncle Gu, it was junior brother Yixing who saved me. In Nine Heaven City, junior brother Yixing also saved many disciples of our sect. Really? Zi Shanho was also excited, exclaiming at the same time as Gu Tianshang. Yixing nodded. Yes, Master, Elder Gu, this disciple has many things to report. Let's find a place first. The Star Crystal Lode was the last stronghold of Dayan. There were many martial artists inside. Zi Shanho and Gu Tianshang had already brought some martial artists to welcome them, and their intense reaction attracted another group of martial artists, all of them looking over in surprise. Under the watchful eyes of so many people, it was obviously not a good place to talk. Good. 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 Gu Tianshang said good 3 times in a row, which was enough to show the surprise in his heart. He said, "Come with me. We'll talk in the meeting room." When they arrived at the meeting hall, Yixing told them everything that had happened in Nine Heaven City. Zi Shanho and Gu Tianshang were shocked. In the Azure Cloud Mountain Range, he killed the Flying Cloud Sect's 2 stars enlightened Master Cho Bohong and met the expert He Biao. He controlled the silver-winged demonic condor, a demonic beast equivalent to Venerable 3-star, and rode it to Nine Heaven City, breaking through the astral realm and becoming a 1-star enlightened master. Defeat Mu Shaoyue, take first place in the Young Hero Assembly, and become the first in the Earth Profound ranking. He was received by Wu Yu and refused to join Tiangang's sect. Kill Daoist 3 stars, destroy the Sun-Moon sect's stronghold in Nine Heaven City, and rescue the Falling Star sect's disciples. He would compete with the Fire Cloud sect's Yun Tianhao to snatch Lin Tongyu back. The powerhouse He Biao that he met in the Azure Cloud Mountain Range was actually a venerable. He had asked Wu Yu to protect Yixing. After Yixing finished telling them everything, Zi Shanho and Gu Tianshang were dumbfounded. It was hard to imagine that Yixing had gone through so many shocking things in the 2 months that he had been away. For example, the first in the Earth Profound ranking, esteemed, and so on. They had nothing to do with the or even the martial Dao factions in the Azure Cloud region. Not to mention that Yixing had met a venerable, who was a legend in the true Xian region. This was even more shocking. Of course, no one would have thought that He Biao could also be a king. After Yixing finished speaking, the scene was very quiet. Zi Shanho and Gu Tianshang only had shock in their eyes, and they were overjoyed. They looked at Yixing, not knowing what to say. After a few breaths, Zi Shanho reacted and said, "Yixing, there are 3 3-star venerables among the younger generation participating in the Young Hero Assembly, but you took first place. Does this mean that your strength has surpassed that of a 3-star venerable?" Yixing nodded and said, "Unless the opponent is also a genius that can challenge those of a higher level, I am not afraid of any 3-star venerable." Zi Shanho and Gu Tianshang's eyes lit up, blooming with the light of hope. Zi Shanho said excitedly, "Good. Good. The heavens have eyes." Now, the Dongfu sect master, Watanabe Xiong, is presiding over the Dongfu sect. The Falling Star sect only has the Dongfu sect's grand elder, Watanabe Tan. Yixing, since you have such strength, you can take advantage of the time before Watanabe Xiong arrives, kill Watanabe Tan and Watanabe Shu, reclaim the sect, and then use the array to resist Watanabe Xiong's counterattack. Yixing smiled indifferently, took out the rebirth pill and said, "Master, I won first place in the large competition and received the rebirth pill as a reward. With the rebirth pill, your legs will grow back after tonight. Tomorrow, I will go back to the sect with you. I will deal with Watanabe Tan, and you will deal with Watanabe Shu personally." Yixing naturally understood that Watanabe Shu was the former wife of the sect master of the Hua Tianshu. Zi Shanho did not recognize her as a member of the Hua family, so Yixing naturally did not call her Hua Tianshu. Zi Shanho looked at the rebirth pill in Yixing's hand, and his breathing gradually quickened. His legs had been crippled for more than 10 years, and there was not a moment when he did not want to recover. This day had finally arrived. Thank you. Zi Shanho took the rebirth pill, and had many things to say to Yixing, but in the end, he only said a word of thanks. Gratitude did not come from words, but from sincerity. Zi Shanho's gratitude was full of sincerity. He still remembered when he took Yixing in as his disciple. He said that if Yixing could obtain some kind of treasure that could regenerate broken limbs in the future, he would have the chance to heal his legs. At that time, it was just a casual remark, and he did not expect Yixing to actually do it. Yixing's face revealed a faint smile, and said, "If not for Master, how could I be where I am today? I would have died long ago. Compared to my life, the rebirth pill is nothing. The one who should say thanks is Yixing." It was Zi Shanho who taught Yixing the art of archery, letting Yixing know the profoundness of the art of archery. It was also Zi Shanho who explained the world of martial arts to him, letting him know how vast the Star Continent was. When the Dong Fu nation's army invaded, it was Zi Shanho who saved Yixing's life. Otherwise, Yixing and Wei Qingxian would not have been able to escape Dong Xianying's pursuit. In other people's eyes, the rebirth pill might be incomparably precious, a priceless treasure. But in Yixing's eyes, a rebirth pill was far from comparable to the kindness his master, Zi Shanho, had shown him. Zi Shanho took a deep breath, and heavily patted Yixing's shoulder twice, and said, "The best thing I've done in my life was to take you in as my disciple. Yixing, with your talent, no one can stop you from becoming outstanding. To be able to take you in as my disciple is the greatest fortune of my life." Ha 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 ha. Gu Tianshang laughed happily at the side, and said, "Tianfeng, I have to say that you have a good eye. Back then, I also wanted to take Yixing in as a formation disciple. Unfortunately, his talent is too high, and I know that I can't teach him anything. Yixing being your disciple is your greatest fortune. Yixing being a disciple of the Falling Star sect is also Falling Star sect's greatest fortune." Sigh. It's a pity that junior brother Lin can't see this. If junior brother Lin knew that Yixing was so promising, I wonder how happy he would be. Speaking of Lin Fenghua, Gu Tianshang's smile faded, and his voice became melancholy. Lin Tongyu said, "Father's spirit in heaven must be able to see junior brother Yixing's current achievements. He will be smiling in the underworld." Gu Tianshang nodded, and said, Yes, junior brother Lin will see it. Yixing, your cultivation has advanced by leaps and bounds. I wonder how your formation skills are now. Your talent is heaven-defying, so don't waste the knowledge that junior brother Lin taught you." Yixing nodded, and said, "I can already arrange third-level formations." Gu Tianshang's expression froze, and he was shocked again. He had studied formations his whole life, and finally, because of the great shock of his sect's destruction, he broke through the bottleneck and became a third-level formation master in one fell swoop. Yixing was only 18 years old, and he had only studied formations for a little more than a year, but he could already arrange third-level formations. This was much faster than Lin Fenghua in the past. Gu Tianshang looked at Yixing, and after a long while, he slowly said, "Monster. You really are a monster." Zi Shanho went back to take the resurrection elixir, and Yixing continued to talk with Gu Tianshang, learning more about the situation of the star crystal vein. After 3 months of mining, the Falling Star sect had obtained more than 1 million mid-grade star crystals, and more than 10 million low-grade star crystals. According to the calculations of professional mine masters, only half of the mid-grade star crystal vein had been mined. In other words, there were still more than 1 million mid-grade star crystals. More than 2 million mid-grade star crystals was a huge amount of wealth. Many one-star sects couldn't even compare to it. As long as they finished mining the mid-grade star crystal vein, the falling star sect would become one of the richest one-star sects, which would be of great help to the development of the falling star sect. Now that Yi Xing was the sect master of the Yi Xing returned, Gu Tianshang handed the star crystal resources to Yi Xing to manage. 1,000,000 mid-grade star crystals piled up together was bigger than a house, but Yi Xing had a mid-grade storage ring, so he could store them. As for the tens of millions of low-grade star crystals, they were piled up like a mountain, so he could only store them in the underground cave. Unless he had a high-grade storage ring, he wouldn't be able to store so many things. After inspecting the star crystals, Yi Xing saw that it was still early, so he left the star crystal vein. Since the falling star sect was destroyed, the once glorious Ye family must have had a hard time. Yi Xing still had time today, so he went to Purple Mountain County's Azure Sky City to visit the Ye family. Purple Mountain County's Azure Sky City. Today was a lively day. Xiong Qixing, the new head of the Xiong family, one of the three great families in Azure Sky City, was marrying Yi Yundai and Yi Yunwan, the two daughters of the Ye family, as his concubines. This might be a trivial matter in the Falling Star country, but in Azure Sky City, it was a big event that everyone knew about. Even many martial arts families in Purple Mountain County knew about it and came to congratulate them. Chapter 411. Because of Yi Xing, the Ye family was protected by the Zishan Marquis residents and developed rapidly. They had once become the top martial arts family in Celestial Ocean City. In the family, there were many level 7 martial Dao masters, and some of them had even reached level 8 martial Dao master. However, since the Falling Star sect was destroyed and Zishan Marquis fled to the Star Crystal Mine, the Ye family lost their backing. Moreover, because of Yi Xing, the Ye family was disliked by the new ruler, the East Fu sect. Although the East Fu sect did not care about the small Ye family, since the Ye family was disliked by the East Fu sect, there were naturally many martial arts families who were willing to step on the Ye family. The Ye family's strength was second to none in Celestial Ocean City, but the Ye family knew that they were in a bad situation, so they had always been cautious and kept a low profile. If there were any conflicts with other martial arts families, they would do their best to compromise. Because of this cautious attitude, the Ye family had always survived in a dangerous environment. However, there were some changes in the Zishan County recently, which put the Ye family in a difficult situation. Just half a month ago, the Zishan Marquis position that had been vacant for 2 months was finally filled. Now that the Falling Star Kingdom was under the control of the East Fu sect, the new Zishan Marquis naturally listened to the orders of the East Fu sect. This new Zishan Marquis happened to have some conflicts with Yi Xing. This was because the new Zishan Marquis' surname was Qi Jingyang, and he was once a core disciple of the Falling Star sect. His father, Qi Doxing, grandfather, Qi Jingchao, and great-grandfather, Qi Zhantian, were all loyal warriors who had died in the battle with the Dong Fu sect. However, Qi Jingyang did not inherit the loyalty of his ancestors. Instead, he became a traitor and surrendered to the Dong Fu sect. The East Fu sect wanted to use the Falling Star sect system to manage the Falling Star Kingdom. They needed some martial artists who belonged to the Falling Star sect to manage the kingdom, and they gave important tasks to those who surrendered. Qi Jingyang's ancestors were famous for being loyal warriors who were sworn enemies with the East Fu sect. However, the East Fu sect promoted Qi Jingyang as a role model for those who surrendered. Therefore, when Qi Jingyang broke through to level 7 and became a 7-star martial saint, he was given the title of Zishan Marquis by Watanabe Shu, who was temporarily in charge of the Zishan County. Furthermore, they sent Wang Feng, the disciple of Zishan Marquis, who had also surrendered, as the head steward of the Marquis residence to assist. Wang Feng was now a 3-star martial saint. When he returned to the Zishan County, the Wang clan became the #1 martial arts clan in the Zishan County. Wang's head. Wang family, and Wang's Wangs. Wang's Wang was benefited Wangs. Was Marquis sect. Maru Mara Marmaru was Marmar Marmara Marmars. Had Marmar 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 More Marmar 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 More. In Celestial Azure City, the strongest martial artist was level 8 martial saint. Xiong Qixing became a level 9 martial saint. If the Falling Star sect was still around, with Yi Xing's light, Xiong Qixing becoming a level 9 martial saint would not be worth mentioning. However, now that the Falling Star sect was destroyed and Yi Xing was rumored to be dead, Xiong Qixing naturally became the strongest martial artist in Celestial Azure City. Xiong Qixing returned to Celestial Azure City and took over the position of patriarch of the Xiong family. The first thing Xiong Qixing did after becoming the patriarch of the Xiong family was to go to the Ya family and vent his hatred for Yi Xing on the Ya family. He killed several elders of the Ya family. The entire upper echelon of the Ya family, including 7-star and 8-star martial saints, were all severely injured by Xiong Qixing. Furthermore, Xiong Qixing captured the two beauties of the Ya family, Yi Yundai and Yi Yunwan. He announced to the world that he was going to take them as his concubines. Xiong Qixing sent out invitations to all the martial arts families in Celestial Azure City. He also invited Wang Feng, a 3-star martial saint, to preside over the situation and be a witness. Wang Feng knew that Xiong Qixing was the illegitimate son of his uncle, Wang Haiqing. Furthermore, because of his hatred for Yi Xing, he was also happy to come to Celestial Azure City and trample on the Ya family. Naturally, he agreed. However, when Wang Feng reported this matter to the new Purple Mountain Marquis, Qi Jingyang, as a marquis, actually dared to take the initiative to come to Celestial Azure City and preside over the ceremony. Qi Jingyang's hatred for Yi Xing was much stronger than Wang Feng's. Even though Qi Jingyang believed that Yi Xing was dead, his hatred for Yi Xing had always existed. After knowing that the Ya family of Celestial Azure City was the Ya family's clan, Qi Jingyang did not care about bearing. As a 7-star martial saint who held the position of Purple Mountain Marquis, he had the thought of exterminating the Ya family. He wanted to first watch the Yi clan decline, then slowly exterminate the Yi clan, until there was not a single person left in the Yi clan, and they were erased from the world. When Yi Xing arrived at the Ya family, the upper echelons of the Ya family were nowhere to be seen. Furthermore, there were many experts standing guard outside the Ya family. From a deacon of the Ya family, Yi Xing found out about the changes in Purple Mountain County and what had happened to the Ya family. Instantly, his heart burned with rage. Qi Jingyang, Wang Feng, Wang Haiqing, Xiong Qixing, these were all once Yi Xing's enemies. Yi Xing was magnanimous and spared them. However, reality proved that forgiveness did not make them grateful. It would only cause trouble. Once something happened to him, the people around him would be harmed. Yi Xing's heart surged with killing intent as he headed for the Xiong family. Today, the Xiong family's patriarch, Xiong Qixing, was marrying a concubine. They held a grand banquet, singing and dancing in celebration. Most of the guests were 7th-level grandmasters and above. Many of them were 8th-level grandmasters and even 9th-level grandmasters. They were all experts from the top martial arts families in Purple Mountain County. The newly appointed Purple Mountain Marquis, Qi Jingyang, sat high up in the main seat. Wang Feng, the chief steward of the Marquis residence, sat below Qi Jingyang. Beside Wang Feng was Wang Haiqing. Wang Haiqing naturally had to attend the wedding of an illegitimate son. The Xiong family was filled with guests. Even the square outside the main hall was filled with hundreds of tables of banquets. The grandeur of this banquet far surpassed any banquet in the history of Tiansang City. However, on this joyous occasion, not everyone was treated kindly by the Xiong clan. On the side of the square, there were dozens of wooden stakes. The upper echelons of the Yi clan were all tied to the wooden stakes with blood on the corners of their mouths. They were battered and exhausted. Beside each wooden stake stood a Xiong family martial practitioner. They held large sabers and glared at the Ya family from the side. Their eyes were fierce, as if they were going to execute these Ya family martial practitioners at any time. Xiong Qixing grabbed Yi Yundai and Yi Yunwan, who were dressed in red robes, and toasted the guests. Seeing Yi Yundai and Yi Yunjuan's eyes filled with grief and indignation, Xiong Qixing said coldly, "Bitches, be happy for me. Smile. Otherwise, I'll give the order and your Ya family's pigs and dogs will have their heads cut off one by one." In the sky, a green light flashed. It was Yi Xing. He had rushed to the Xiong family as fast as he could and had even used the supreme-grade flying spirit artifact, the Azure Cloud Wings. Yi Xing's speed was too fast. Even martial sages could not see him clearly. Furthermore, none of the martial practitioners on the square were martial sages. How could they notice the green light that flashed in the sky? It was only when Yi Xing appeared on the square and folded the Azure Cloud Wings that the martial practitioners noticed that there was an additional person. When Yi Xing appeared, he did not release the aura of his astral realm cultivation. Just the terrifying murderous intent that surged out caused all the martial practitioners on the square to shiver. They all looked at Yi Xing. None of the guests on the square recognized Yi Xing. However, Xiong Qixing was an exception. When he saw Yi Xing, his body trembled violently, and his mind buzzed. What was going on? Wasn't Yi Xing dead? Wasn't he dead? Xiong Qixing looked at Yi Xing and his arrogant expression instantly turned into fear. He knew how amazing Yi Xing's performance in the Falling Star sect was. Although Xiong Qixing did not know what happened after Yi Xing went to the Azure Cloud Ancient Land, he knew that Yi Xing was already the #1 disciple of the Falling Star sect before he went there. Yi Xing's gaze fell on Xiong Qixing and he said coldly, "Xiong Qixing. Xiong family. You are courting death." Xiong Qixing pointed at Yi Xing and said in a trembling voice, "Impossible. This is impossible. Aren't you dead? How can you still be alive? How can?" Besides Xiong Qixing, Yi Yundai and Yi Yunwan were overjoyed when they saw Yi Xing. They exclaimed at the same time, "Yi Xing, save them." Xiong Qixing immediately grabbed Yi Yundi's and Yi Yunjuan's necks and blocked the two girls in front of him. He shouted, "Yi Xing, if you dare to move, I will kill them. Marquis. Brother Wang Feng. Help! Help!" After Xiong Qixing shouted, the Xiong family martial artists beside the wooden stakes also placed their swords on the necks of the Ya family martial artists. Yi Xing's name was well known in the Azure Cloud City. Only by controlling the life and death of the Ya family martial artists could everyone feel a sense of security. Yi Xing's gaze swept across Xiong Qixing and the Xiong family martial artists. Two green vortexes appeared in his eyes. In the next moment, a strange scene occurred. The Xiong family martial artists who placed their swords on the necks of the Ya family martial artists raised their swords and cut off the ropes binding the Ya family martial artists. Then, they fiercely chopped off their own heads. Instantly, a large number of heads rolled down. Dozens of Xiong family martial artists became headless corpses. Blood spurted out wildly as they fell to the ground. Yi Xing's eyes of green cloud could even affect a perfected person in the astral realm. It could directly control a martial sage in the astral vortex realm. The Xiong family martial artists were only in the astral tempering realm. Yi Xing could easily control dozens of them at the same time with a single glance. Xiong Qixing was also controlled by the eyes of green cloud. He released Yi Yundai and Yi Yunwan, took out a dagger, and stabbed himself in the heart. Ah! The intense pain immediately awakened Xiong Qixing from the state of mind control. He let out a shrill scream. Xiong Qixing looked at his hands that were holding the dagger in disbelief. The dagger had already pierced his heart, causing a fatal injury. He could feel his life slipping away rapidly. No. No. I don't want to die. Xiong Qixing's hands let go of the dagger. He could not stop trembling. His eyes were filled with the fear of death and disbelief. He had finally become a level 9 Grandmaster and the head of the Xiong family. Today was supposed to be his most glorious day. Who would have thought that it would be the day of his death? Chapter 4:12. The cultivators in the plaza all had shocked expressions. They felt like their hearts were being ruthlessly grasped by a large hand, causing them to tremble in fear. This was too strange. Yixing did not even move. Xiong Qixing and the dozens of Xiong family warriors had all committed suicide. It was unbelievable. The Eyes of Blue Cloud was an ultimate spiritual martial art. It was a unique skill of the Blue Cloud sect that had been lost for more than 1,000 years. Even a martial saint might not recognize this unique skill. The people present were all country bumpkins who rarely saw a martial saint. How would they know about the Eyes of Blue Cloud? Therefore, when they saw the two blue whirlpools flash in Yixing's eyes and Xiong Qixing and the dozens of Xiong family warriors commit suicide, the guests looked as if they had seen a ghost. How could they not be shocked? Xiong Qixing suddenly stabbed himself and the Xiong family warriors chopped off their own heads. This strange scene shocked the Ya family warriors. However, they were only shocked by Yixing's ability. They were not as scared of Yixing as the other warriors. When Yi Yundai and Yi Yunwan saw that Xiong Qixing had died, they quickly ran towards Yixing. The Ya family warriors also gathered around Yixing. They looked very surprised. In the Ya family, Yixing was a legend. The Ya family's prosperity was closely related to Yixing. Yixing was still alive, which meant that the Ya family's future would be prosperous again. Brother Xing. Yifeng was also among the imprisoned Ya family warriors. He shouted in surprise and waved at Yixing. Yifeng was already an 8-star Grandmaster. Other than Yixing, Yifeng was the strongest warrior in the Ya family. Of course, he belonged to the upper echelon of the Ya family. Yixing smiled and nodded at Yifeng. At this moment, the guests in the hall had already rushed out. Qi Jingyang and Wang Feng led the way, while the half-martial sacred Wang Haiqing followed closely behind. They had just heard Xiong Qixing's cries for help. The two cries for help were the clearest, and Xiong Qixing's was the loudest. As for the two words, Yixing, Xiong Qixing was the first to shout out, and his voice was at its lowest pitch. Qi Jingyang and Wang Feng seemed to have vaguely heard the two words, Yixing, and both of them looked surprised. Wasn't Yixing dead? It was precisely because the two of them thought that Yixing was dead that they rushed out without much thought. When Qi Jingyang and Wang Feng rushed out of the hall and arrived at the square, they saw Yixing, just like Xiong Qixing. Their bodies shook violently and their faces were filled with shock. They did not hear wrongly. Xiong Qixing was shouting for Yixing. Yixing was still alive. Qi Jingyang and Wang Feng's eyes were instantly filled with fear. Especially Qi Jingyang, who had entered the Qingyun ancient land with Yixing and participated in the 10-sect grand tournament. He knew how terrifying Yixing's strength was. During the 10-sect grand tournament, Yixing's strength had already swept away 9-star martial saints. Now that 3 months had passed, wouldn't he be even more powerful? Although Qi Jingyang had broken through to the 7th-star vortex realm and was conferred the title of Marquis, when he saw Yixing, he was like a mouse seeing a cat. Senior brother Yixing. Qi Jingyang's heart was pounding. He wanted to turn around and run, but he knew how fast Yixing was. Under Yixing's hands, there was no hope of escaping. He could only suppress the fear in his heart and force a smile at Yixing. Yixing looked at Qi Jingyang with disgust and said, "You traitor of the, are you qualified to call me senior brother? My senior brothers are all disciples of the Falling Star sect. There is no traitor like you." Qi Jingyang's face stiffened. He wanted to say something, but Yixing had already sentenced him to death. "After you surrendered to the Dongfu sect, if you had behaved yourself, although I hate you, I would not have bothered to lower myself to your level. But you just had to bully the Ya family. You are seeking your own death." Qi Jingyang suddenly looked terrified. He cupped his fists and begged for mercy, "Senior brother, spare my life, spare my life." Most warriors did not know how strong Yixing was, but they all knew that Zi Shanho was not only a martial saint, but also a royal martial saint. His strength was unbelievably strong. However, this Zi Shanho did not even have the courage to attack Yixing. He only dared to beg for mercy. This really shocked these country bumpkin warriors. Yixing was unmoved. He began to use the azure cloud eyes. Qi Jingyang still begged for mercy, "Senior brother, please, for the sake of my Qi family ancestors." Before Qi Jingyang could finish, two clouds appeared in Yixing's eyes. Qi Jingyang's eyes suddenly lost their light. He seemed to be in a daze and stopped talking. Qi Jingyang was only a 7-star martial saint, and Yixing had used the cloud pupil eye to easily control his mind. Azure cloud eyes, this is cloud eyes. Wang Feng looked at Yixing's eyes and exclaimed. As a martial saint and a disciple of his knowledge was naturally incomparable to that of ordinary warriors. Wang Feng knew that the azure cloud eyes were divided into azure eyes and cloud eyes. Yixing used the cloud eyes, which meant that Yixing had received the complete inheritance of the azure cloud eyes. The complete azure cloud eyes was an extreme-grade spiritual martial art. This made Wang Feng's heart beat rapidly. When Qi Jingyang turned to look at Wang Feng expressionlessly, Wang Feng was even more frightened. He also begged Yixing for mercy, "Senior brother Yixing, I had no choice but to surrender. I only have Master in my heart. Please don't kill me. For Master's sake, please don't kill me." Yixing snorted and said, "Master did his best to cultivate you, but you chose to become Watanabe Shu's lackey. Don't think that I don't know. Before the Falling Star sect was destroyed, you were already Watanabe Shu's lackey. How dare you mention Master in front of me?" As he spoke, Qi Jingyang suddenly attacked. A middle-grade spiritual saber suddenly appeared and slashed at Wang Feng in an extremely overbearing manner. The saber slashed like a dragon. The aura was dazzling and the power was shocking. Middle-grade spiritual martial art, Big Dipper Dragon Slaying Saber. How could a 3-star martial saint resist a 7-star martial saint's full strength? Wang Feng was cut down by Qi Jingyang's saber. Whoosh! Qi Jingyang struck out with his saber, followed by a second saber strike. Wang Haiqing first saw his dead illegitimate son. Then, he saw his nephew die in front of him. He was in pain and was also killed by Qi Jingyang. Marquis. Seeing Qi Jingyang go crazy, the martial artists all retreated. Those who were closer to Qi Jingyang were the upper echelons of the Xiong family. Qi Jingyang continuously slashed out with his saber. The saber radiance crisscrossed. In an instant, more than 10 of the Xiong family's upper echelons were killed by Qi Jingyang, including the previous head of the Xiong family, Xiong Baolong. The last saber slashed fiercely at Qi Jingyang. The moment the saber radiance entered his body, Qi Jingyang regained his consciousness due to the fear of death. He watched as the saber killed him and he died. The new Marquis Zishan, Martial Saint Wang Feng, Vice Principal Wang Haiqing of the Zishan Academy, and the upper echelons of the Xiong family were all killed. The guests were frightened out of their wits. They screamed and fled, rolling and crawling. Today's events would be deeply imprinted in their hearts. In the future, they would no longer dare to look down on or trample on the Ya family. There would only be awe and fear. Yixing's help to the Ya family was limited to this. The upper echelons of the Xiong family had been wiped out. Yixing did not care if the Ya family would uproot the Xiong family in the future. This was the Ya family's business and had nothing to do with him. The only thing he cared about was that the Ya family could develop well, and this was not a problem. Tomorrow, he would return to the sect and rebuild the Falling Star sect. With the Ya family would not be in danger. After chatting with Yifeng and other acquaintances for a while, Yixing did not return to the Ya family. Instead, he left and returned to the Star Crystal Mine. The next day, the final day, had finally arrived. In the morning, when Yixing saw his master Hua Tianfeng, his heart was filled with joy. The resurrection pill was indeed miraculous. In one night, Hua Tianfeng's legs grew back and returned to normal. From now on, Hua Tianfeng did not need to rely on the artificial legs to move. Yixing chuckled and said, "Master, congratulations on the recovery of your legs." Hua Tianfeng smiled and nodded. Compared to the past, Hua Tianfeng was in high spirits today. He was full of vitality. His broken legs had been healed. Whether it was physically or mentally, Hua Tianfeng's temperament had undergone a huge change. Hua Tianfeng waved to Yixing and said, "Yixing, let's go. It's time to fight back against the Dongfu sect." Yixing summoned the silver-winged demonic condor and jumped on its back with Hua Tianfeng. In an instant, the silver-winged demonic condor soared into the sky. The Star Crystal Mine was guarded by Gu Tiansheng. As for Lin Tongyu, she was only a 6-star martial saint. She had no real use in taking back the sect. Today, there would be a decisive battle. Yixing and Hua Tianfeng naturally could not be distracted by taking care of her. Therefore, only Yixing and Hua Tianfeng went. The silver-winged demonic condor was extremely fast. In less than half a day, it had arrived outside the Falling Star sect. Yixing was the fastest among the cultivators who went to the Nine Heavens city. Because the silver-winged demonic condor's speed was faster than the other cultivators' flying mounts, Yixing's deeds in the Nine Heavens city had not spread to the Clear Sky region. As for Yixing's return, no one knew. Even though Yixing had appeared in the Azure Sky City yesterday afternoon, the Azure Sky City was at the border of the Falling Star Kingdom. In just one night, the news could not be sent back to the sect. Therefore, the Dongfu sect cultivators guarding the Falling Star sect did not know that Yixing had returned. Many people even thought that Yixing was dead. Although the Flying Cloud sect said that Yixing was not dead, this was only a suspicion. There was no proof. The first thing Yixing did when he arrived outside the Falling Star sect was to break the array. The array that the Dongfu sect had set up at the old site of the Falling Star sect was based on the original array of the Falling Star sect. Many of the original arrays of the Falling Star sect were set up by Lin Fenghua. As Lin Fenghua's disciple, Yixing was very familiar with them. Moreover, Yixing's X-ray vision and super brain scan allowed him to easily find the strength and weakness of the array. To Yixing, the array formation that the Dongfu sect had set up on top of the original array of the Falling Star sect was nothing more than an empty shell. By the time someone discovered that Yixing and Hua Tianfeng had arrived, the array formation had already been mostly broken by Yixing. At the final point, Yixing had taken out the Black Dragon Spear and forcefully broken it open. Chapter 413. Boom! The light shield of the formation was shattered. The sound of the spear shook the sky. Enemy invasion. The sentry who discovered Yixing and Hua Tianfeng shouted. There was no need for the sentry to call the police. All the martial artists in the sect had heard the explosion. Du Biantan, Li Hongguang, and the other astral realm perfected masters rushed out of their residences. They formed astral wings and flew into the sky. The other 3 perfected masters were the elders of the Dongfu sect. One was a 2-star perfected master, Dong Xuanhe, and the other 2 were 1-star perfected masters, Shi Fingyi and Le Chuanzu. The 7 perfected masters glided in the sky and soon arrived in front of Yixing and Hua Tianfeng, stopping them. In addition, there were a large number of marquis martial sages and half-step perfected masters rushing over. Hiss. After a short while, there was a snake hiss. A huge 4-winged flying snake flew out from the back of the mountain. This was the flying mount that Du Biantan had used to take the disciples of the Dongfu sect to the Qingyun ancient land. It was equivalent to a 3-star perfected master. Seeing Yixing's figure, the perfected masters were shocked. They had not reached a conclusion about Yixing's life and death. However, now that Yixing had appeared in front of them, the result was clear. Among the 7 perfected masters, only Du Biantan noticed Hua Tianfeng. She was shocked to see that Hua Tianfeng's legs were intact. She had personally cut off Hua Tianfeng's legs. For more than 10 years, Hua Tianfeng had been walking with prosthetic legs. When did his legs grow back? If one wanted to regrow a severed limb, one would need a supreme healing elixir. Where did Hua Tianfeng get the supreme healing elixir? Du Biantan looked at Yixing, his eyes full of gloomy coldness, and laughed. Little bastard, the Flying Cloud sect was right. You're not dead. However, you're courting death today. Let's see how you can escape from my hands. A astral realm martial artist's aura would not leak out. It was difficult for outsiders to see their cultivation. Du Biantan could not see Yixing's cultivation. 3 months ago, Yixing was only an 8-star martial sage. Du Biantan naturally did not think that Yixing had broken through to the astral realm. As for Hua Tianfeng, he was only a 9-star martial saint. He was not worth mentioning. On Yixing's side, the only thing that Du Biantan paid attention to was the silver-winged devil condor, which was equivalent to Daoist 3 stars. As for Du Biantan's side, he was a 3 stars reverend. In addition, there were 6 astral realm reverends. Moreover, there was a demonic beast equivalent to a 3 stars reverend, the 4-winged flying snake. Naturally, Watanabe Lake did not put Yixing's strength in his eyes. He thought that Yixing was seeking his own death. However, Du Biantan did not let the 4-winged flying snake fly forward. Instead, he stayed behind to hold the line. Watanabe Tam remembered that Yixing had once made the 4-winged flying snake crazy. Yixing seemed to have some ability to control demons. This was the only thing that Watanabe Tam valued about Yixing. Yixing's gaze swept across the 7 reverends coldly. He did not hide the murderous intent in his eyes. Yixing said coldly, "When Dong Fu's sect destroyed me, did you ever think that one day, Dong Fu's sect would be wiped off the face of the earth?" Du Biantan was unmoved. He still had a smile on his face as he said disdainfully, "Dong Fu's sect will not have such a day. Boy, if you have any last words, say them now. Otherwise, you will never have the chance to say them." Yixing narrowed his eyes and said, "You are wrong. Dong Fu's sect's day will come soon. Today is the day you all die. In 3 days, I will personally go to Dong Fu's sect and kill Watanabe Xiong. I will destroy Dong Fu's sect forever." Ha 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 ha. Du Biantan laughed and said, "Boy, it seems like you have lost your mind because of your desire for revenge. Today is the day we die." Ha ha ha. Du Biantan's laughter suddenly stopped. The smile on his face suddenly turned into a murderous intent as he shouted, "Today is the day you die." All of a sudden, Du Biantan soared into the sky and a high-grade spiritual weapon appeared in his hand. He slashed out with his saber and the saber light was as bright as the moon. It lit up the sky and slashed towards Yixing upper-grade spiritual weapon, Moon Destroyer Blade Technique. Du Biantan's Moon Destroyer Blade Technique had been cultivated to the initial stage. Its power was extraordinary and the blade aura was shocking. Facing Du Biantan's terrifying blade, Yixing did not move. He waved his hand casually and the silver-winged demonic eagle soared into the sky. Whoosh! The silver-winged demonic eagle cut across the sky like a sharp blade and stopped Du Biantan. The silver-winged demonic eagle was one of the top among the 3-star reverends. It was even stronger than Du Biantan. Du Biantan was at a disadvantage in their first clash. He was shocked and stepped back. Du Biantan shouted, "I will deal with this beast. You all kill them quickly." He. The 2-star Reverend Dongshuan looked at Yixing and laughed eerily. "Boy, without the protection of the silver-winged demonic eagle, what can you do? Tell me, how do you want to die?" Du Biantan Shu also came forward with a smile. She looked at Hua Tianfeng and said, "My good brother, it's been more than 10 years and your feet have been cured. It's really not easy." Sigh. "It's not easy to cure your feet, but you're in such a hurry to die. Why do you have to waste a peerless elixir that can regenerate broken limbs?" Hua Tianfeng ignored Du Biantan Shu. After a cold glance, his eyes fell on Li Hongguang. Li Hongguang was the elder of the Falling Star sect. However, he had betrayed the sect and colluded with Du Biantan Shu. Du Biantan Shu was originally from the Dongfu sect. She was a spy arranged by the Dongfu sect and the Falling Star sect. Her betrayal of the Falling Star sect was reasonable, but Li Hongguang's betrayal was real and shameful. Apart from Du Biantan Shu, there were 3 other elders of the Falling Star sect who had betrayed them. One was the law enforcement elder Yu Pinghai, the other was Zhang Maoxing, the elder of the affairs hall, and the last was Li Hongguang. Yu Pinghai was killed by Lu Tianyuan, the sect master of the Falling Star sect. Zhang Maoxing was killed by Gu Tianshang. Only Li Hongguang was still alive. Hua Tianfeng looked at Li Hongguang and said coldly, "Li Hongguang, have you been at ease these 3 months? Have you been scolded by the ancestors of the Falling Star sect in your sleep? You traitor." Li Hongguang did not look ashamed at all. Instead, he smiled and said, "A wise man submits to circumstances. The Falling Star sect is weak and the Dongfu sect is strong. It's certain that the Falling Star sect will be destroyed. I'm just following the trend. Why wouldn't I be at ease? He. I'm at ease." Yixing ignored Dongxian He and looked at Li Hongguang, saying, "Very well, then you can die in peace." As he spoke, 2 clouds appeared in Yixing's eyes. He had used the cloud eyes. Once, Yixing had obtained the azure cloud eyes. He could only keep it a secret and could not let anyone know. Because he could not bear the consequences of the azure cloud eyes being exposed. But now, Yixing had enough strength to bear the consequences. He did not need to use the azure cloud eyes secretly anymore. He. Li Hongguang laughed coldly. Then, as soon as he started laughing, he suddenly stopped. His eyes were covered with a layer of mist and his expression became dull. Yixing's eye of azure cloud had already reached the entry level. It had the effect of controlling the mind of a beginner enlightened master. A 2- and 3-star enlightened master would have a harder time controlling it, but a 1-star enlightened master wouldn't be able to resist it for long. Azure Cloud Eyes. You actually obtained the best spiritual martial art inheritance of the Azure Cloud sect. Seeing the cloud vortex appear in Yixing's eyes, the sages exclaimed in unison. The Azure Cloud Eyes was something that the top 10 sects of the Azure Cloud region had been searching for thousands of years in the Azure Cloud ancient land but could not find. Now, Yixing had obtained it. How could the sages not be shocked? Just as the sages were exclaiming, Li Hongguang's eyes were completely shrouded by the mist, spinning rapidly. He had been completely controlled by Yixing. Yixing could control his every move. Li Hongguang immediately took out a mid-grade spirit weapon, and slashed at the immortal one-star Westfingy. Middle-grade spiritual martial art clear wind shadowless blade. This blade was very fast and the blade light was without a shadow. West Wind Yixing was taken aback by Yixing's display of the Eye of Clear Cloud. How could he have expected that Li Hongguang would suddenly strike out with his blade? When Shi Fingyi reacted, he instantly activated his Star Gang and his speed exploded to the limit, dodging to the side. Unfortunately, it was too late. Shi Fingyi was unable to avoid Li Hongguang's blade, and only avoided a vital point attack, but the blade still left a deep wound on his body. Blood spurted out. Shi Fingyi was seriously injured. While Li Hongguang slashed out with his blade, and in an instant another blade slashed out, the target was still Shi Fingyi. Shi Fingyi's face was filled with horror, screaming, "Save me!" Dong Xuanhe and Lu Chuanzhu, in order to save Shi Fingyi, simultaneously attacked Li Hongguang. Watanabe Shu also wanted to help, but suddenly a sense of crisis gushed out from her heart, making her look startled and not dare to act rashly. Hua Tianfeng took out a bow, knocked an arrow and aimed at Watanabe Shu. Hua Tianfeng's attainments in archery had already reached the level of 3 changes at will, which was a great threat to the initial stage sages. Moreover, in Hua Tianfeng's eyes, 2 azure light vortexes also appeared. He had activated the azure cloud eyes. Although Hua Tianfeng was only using the azure cloud eyes, but Hua Tianfeng had already cultivated to a very high level of attainment, and more or less had some influence on Watanabe Shu. The moment Watanabe Shu was distracted, Hua Tianfeng immediately drew his bow, and an arrow pierced through the air, shooting towards Watanabe Shu. Azure Dragon Arrow form, the arrow transformed into an azure dragon, and the roar of the dragon shook the surroundings. Watanabe Shu was not Watanabeing. In half an instant, she came back to her senses, and her figure flashed, avoiding Hua Tianfeng's arrow. Whoosh! The arrow shot by Hua Tianfeng turned in the air, instantly changed direction, and continued to shoot towards Watanabe Shu. Watanabe Shu was taken aback. She did not expect Hua Tianfeng's attainments in archery to have reached such a level. At this moment, a scream rang out. Before Li Hongguang could kill Westfingy, Dong Xianhe and Lu Chuanzhu's attacks both landed on his body. After all, Westfingy was on their side, and Li Hongguang was just a person who surrendered to the Falling Star sect. Dong Xianhe and Lu Chuanzhu were anxious to save Li Hongguang, so their attacks were heavy, and Li Hongguang was instantly fatally injured. People often say that when you raise the rice, you will be grateful, but when you raise the rice, you will be hated. Sure enough. The other authors basically did not say anything about making up for the chapters, because no one owed anyone, so everyone could understand. And I, because I am a kind person, promised to return all the chapters that I did not update. Once I return to normal one day, I will immediately be scolded by n number of people for being shameless. Who is shameless? It's still the same sentence, I will return what I promised. From now on, I will never owe a chapter. Chapter 4:14. The intense pain woke Li Hongguang up from his mind control. Looking at the 2 fatal wounds on his body, Li Hongguang was terrified. Clank! At the same time that Li Hongguang was fatally injured, a crisp sound rang out. Watanabe Shu managed to block Hua Tianfeng's arrow in the nick of time, and her body retreated continuously. At the same time, Hua Tianfeng drew his bow for the second time and shot at Watanabe Shu. Why? Li Hongguang asked in disbelief. He did not expect that after surrendering to the Dong Fu sect, he would be killed by the Dong Fu sect's perfected person. However, Dong Xuanhe and Lu Chuanzhu did not have the time to listen to Li Hongguang's death confession. In just 2 breaths, Yi Xing had completely controlled Li Hongguang. Dong Xuanhe and Lu Chuanzhu did not dare to waste any time. After severely injuring Li Hongguang, they immediately attacked Yi Xing Moon Destroyer Blade Technique. Sky/Sword Technique. Dong Xuanhe used an upper-class spiritual martial skill. Although his Moon Destroyer Blade Technique was not as good as Watanabe Tan, it was not far from the initial stage. Lu Chuanzhu used a middle-class spiritual martial skill. His Sky/Sword Technique was close to perfection. When he used it, its power was not much weaker than Dong Xuanhe's Moon Destroyer Blade Technique. The saber and the sword attacked Yi Xing at the same time from different angles. Although Yi Xing's eye of blue cloud was terrifying, it still needed some time to control a martial artist's mind. Dong Xuanhe and Lu Chuanzhu attacked with their fastest speed, not giving Yi Xing a second to react. In this way, they were not afraid of Yi Xing's eye technique attack. In their eyes, without the eye of blue cloud, Yi Xing was just a junior martial artist and was not worth mentioning. Facing the combined attack of the sword and the blade, Yi Xing's expression was normal. He was not afraid at all. He even showed a hint of disdain. Yi Xing did not retreat. Instead, he stepped forward. A beam of light shot out from his eyes and a terrifying aura exploded. The aura of an astral realm perfected person was revealed. Astral realm, 1-star sage. Yi Xing was so young, but he had already broken through the astral realm and became an enlightened master. This shocked Dong Xuanhe and Lu Chuanzhu. However, the 2 of them had already made their move, and it was impossible for them to stop midway. The energy sabers and energy swords continued to hack at Yi Xing upper-class spiritual martial force, Flame Dipper Fist. Condensing flames into astral energy. Tiger Roar and Dragon Cry. Yi Xing attacked with both hands at the same time. His left hand used condensing flames into astral wind and punched at Luchuan Bamboo. His right hand used Tiger Roar and Dragon Roar and punched at Dong Xianhe. Boom! Boom! 2 explosions rang out, and the astral sword and saber instantly shattered. Lu Chuanzhu was no match for Yi Xing's punch. Even though the Flame Dipper Fist was just one of the more common moves in the Flaming Dipper Fist, the Flaming Dipper Fist at the Great Completion stage was extremely powerful. Lu Chuanzhu immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body instantly shot backward. Dong Xianhe was a 2-star enlightened master, and he was 1 level higher than Lu Chuanzhu. However, there wasn't much of a difference between them in front of Yi Xing. Especially when Yi Xing attacked Dong Xianhe with the ultimate move of the Flaming Dipper Fist, Tiger Roar and Dragon Roar. Its power was unimaginable. Therefore, Dong Xianhe was in an even worse state than Lu Chuanzhu. The high-grade spiritual weapon in his hand was directly shattered by Yi Xing's punch. The terrifying energy fist slammed into Dong Xianhe's chest, causing it to cave in. Dong Xianhe spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face was filled with fear and pain. The sound of his bones and tendons shattering could be heard from his body. With a miserable shriek, Dong Xianhe's body shot backward. After landing on the ground, there was no more movement. He had been killed by Yi Xing's punch. Lu Chuanzhu fell to the ground, and his body struggled for a moment. However, he couldn't get up no matter how hard he tried. His internal organs were also shattered by Yi Xing's punch. In the blink of an eye, Yi Xing had counterattacked Dong Xianhe and Lu Chuanzhu. One of them was dead, and the other was heavily injured. Shi Fingyi, who was heavily injured, wasn't attacked by Yi Xing. However, at this moment, he cried out in shock. He couldn't imagine that Yi Xing was already a stellar realm enlightened master. He actually had such terrifying strength. Similarly, Watanabe Shu was also shocked. Dong Xianhe and Lu Chuanzhu's outcome had shocked her. When facing Hua Tianfeng's arrow attack, her reaction was a bit slow. Hua Tianfeng's arrow was extremely fast. Watanabe Shu was already in danger when facing the arrow attack. At this moment, her reaction was a bit slow, and she was instantly shot in the chest by the arrow. The terrifying power of the Azure Dragon arrow style entered Watanabe Shu's body along with the arrow. In an instant, her internal organs were heavily injured. Watanabe Shu screamed and retreated. She looked at the arrow in her chest with a terrified expression. At this moment, Hua Tianfeng had already knocked an arrow and aimed at Watanabe Shu. Watanabe Shu felt the aura of death. She looked at Hua Tianfeng and shouted, "Tianfeng, I'm your elder sister. I'm Tianshu, I'm Tianshu." Hua Tianfeng's expression changed, but he quickly regained his composure. He gritted his teeth and said, "From the beginning to the end, I've never had an elder sister. Go to hell, bitch." Whoosh, the arrow pierced through the air and shot out. "How dare you!" In the distance, Watanabe Tan roared. Under the attack of the silver-winged demonic condor, he was at a disadvantage and couldn't help. However, with this roar, Watanabe Tan's aura suddenly surged. His strength was extraordinary. He dodged the attack of the silver-winged demonic condor and used the moon-vanquishing blade technique to slash at the arrow shot by Hua Tianfeng. The blade radiance was like the moon, piercing through the air. If Hua Tianfeng's arrow was hit by the blade of 3-star spiritual master, it would definitely be cut in half. "Old thief!" Yixing shouted at the same time and threw a punch at the saber aura that was tearing through the air. Before the blade aura could hit the arrow, the flaming fist aura had already collided with the blade aura and exploded. The arrow was not blocked at all. It shot into Watanabe Shu's throat and killed her. Li Hongguang, Dong Xuanhe, and Watanabe Shu died one after another. West Wind Yi and Luchuan Zhu were both seriously injured. Of the 6 spiritual masters, only Watanabe Tan was unharmed. However, he was also in a difficult situation under the attack of the silver-winged demonic condor. When Yixing and Hua Tianfeng came with the silver-winged demonic condor, Watanabe Tan thought that Yixing was seeking his own death. Who would have thought that the Dongfu sect would be defeated like this? And this miscalculation occurred because of Yixing. He never expected that Yixing had obtained the supreme spiritual martial art, Eye of Blue Cloud, and had broken through to the astral realm. He actually had such terrifying strength. Watanabe Tan roared, "Yixing, Hua Tianfeng, I will tear you into pieces. Not even your bones will be left." The 4-winged flying snake at the back was summoned by Watanabe Tan and flew over. Watanabe Tan unleashed the power of his astrology, astral energy, and martial arts to the limit. He attacked the silver-winged demonic condor fiercely and forced it back. Then, he formed astral wings and glided towards the 4-winged flying snake. In less than a second, Watanabe Tan had already joined the 4-winged flying snake and stepped on its back. Watanabe Tan shouted fiercely, but he did not continue to attack with the 4-winged flying snake. Instead, he fled into the distance. Yixing knew the Eye of Blue Cloud and could control the 4-winged flying snake. If Watanabe Tan used the 4-winged flying snake to attack Yixing, it would be suicide. Whoosh, wings of black feathers appeared on Yixing's back. His figure flashed like lightning and soared into the sky. A mid-grade flying spirit artifact, coupled with the wind force of the Minute's subtlety realm, was even faster than the 4-winged flying snake. Watanabe Tan rode the 4-winged flying snake for a few miles before he was intercepted by Yixing. A cloud vortex appeared in Yixing's eyes as he used the Eye of Blue Cloud. Watanabe Tan was shocked and immediately had a bad feeling. Indeed, the Eye of Blue Cloud was much more effective on fey beasts than martial artists. In the blink of an eye, the 4-winged flying snake was affected. Its body swayed and it shook off Watanabe Tan. Then, the four-winged flying snake let out a long hiss and pounced at Watanabe Tan. At the same time, the silver-winged demonic condor also attacked Watanabe Tan. Its silver wings cut through the void like sharp blades. Watanabe Tan was already at a disadvantage against the silver-winged demonic condor's attack. How could he withstand the simultaneous attacks of the silver-winged demonic condor and the four-winged flying snake? Soon, Watanabe Tan was cut in half by the silver-winged demonic condor's silver wings as he dodged the four-winged flying snake's attack. An unwilling roar reverberated in the air, and the two halves of Watanabe Tan's body fell from the sky. Of the 6 spiritual masters of the East Fu sect, 4 were dead and 2 were seriously injured. The Star Vortex Realm martial saints were dumbfounded and fled in all directions. With a flap of his black wings, Yixing quickly returned to his original place and landed in front of Westfingy. The silver-winged demonic condor and the four-winged flying snake both landed behind Yixing, like 2 protectors guarding one side. The seriously injured Luchuanzu let out a blood-curdling scream and was killed by Hua Tianfeng's arrow. The only spiritual master of the East Fu sect left was Westfingy. Westfingy's breathing was rapid, his eyes full of horror and his heart trembling. He was seriously injured and could not move freely. He could not even escape. In fact, even if Westfingy was not injured, there was no hope of escape. As a 3-star spiritual master, Watanabe Tan was easily caught and killed by Yixing as he fled on the four-winged flying snake, let alone Westfingy. Hua Tianfeng knocked an arrow and pointed at Westfingy. Kill this East Fu dog thief with 1 arrow. Yixing shook his head. No, he still has a little use. Westfingy's eyes lit up when he heard this. Hope was born in his despair. Yixing looked coldly at Westfingy. I'll give you a chance to live, do you want it? Westfingy nodded repeatedly. Yes, yes. Yixing pointed to the four-winged flying snake. Ride the four-winged flying snake back to the East Fu sect and tell Watanabe Xiong that 3 days later, I will go to the East Fu sect and kill everyone. Tell him to keep his life well. 3 days later, I will personally take his dog life. Westfingy was taken aback. The chance Yixing gave him to live was to let him go back to the East Fu sect. Was there such a good thing? Westfingy was surprised. That's all. Yixing nodded. That's all, do you want it or not? Yes, of course. Westfingy was overjoyed. Today many brothers voted for me, thank you very much. I will work hard to write in return. Chapter 4:15. 6th update. Westfingy felt that he was very lucky, as if a pie had fallen from the sky onto him. Of the 6 perfected masters who occupied the other 5 were dead, and he was the only one who survived. Moreover, Yixing let him ride the four-winged flying snake back to the East Fu sect. Wasn't this a pie from the sky? This kid is young and arrogant. He became a perfected master of the astral realm at such a young age. How dare he look down on my East Fu sect? Humph. My sect master is a perfected master of the 4 stars. How dare you threaten to kill your way into the East Fu sect? You're courting death. Westfingy thought to himself as he left on the four-winged flying snake. A perfected master of the 4 stars was already in the middle stage of the astral realm, and his strength was far beyond that of a perfected master of the East Fu sect. Westfingy had full confidence in the sect master of the East Fu sect, Watanabe Xiong. Looking at the four-winged flying snake in the sky, Hua Tianfeng said, the end of the East Fu sect has arrived. Hua Tianfeng wasn't worried about Yixing killing his way into the East Fu sect. Hua Tianfeng was the only one who knew the secret of Yixing's astrology, and he knew the limit of Yixing's strength. Yixing was now able to defeat a perfected master of the 3 stars, so when he used the black hole astrology and Sagittarius astrology, his battle strength would be greatly increased, and killing a perfected master of the 4 stars would be a piece of cake. However, Hua Tianfeng's expression was a little puzzled as he continued to speak. If you kill your way into the East Fu sect, won't you catch them off guard? Why did you let West Windy go back to inform Watanabe Xiong? Yixing smiled. I gave him 3 days, which is just enough time to gather the sects in the southern part of the Qingyun region, but not enough time to go to the northern part of the Qingyun region to ask for help. So, to be safe, Watanabe Xiong should have invited Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Ghost sect to help. This way, I can kill them all in one fell swoop. Hua Tianfeng couldn't help but admire Yixing's plan and courage. If he directly destroyed the Dong Fu sect, the news would quickly spread. If Yixing went to the Flying Cloud sect, the Divine Wind sect, or the Blood Spectre sect, his enemies would most likely be one step ahead of him. If they escaped from the Qingyun region, no matter how resourceful Yixing was, he wouldn't be able to find them. Therefore, it was best to gather them together and catch them all in one fell swoop. Hua Tianfeng said, Flying Cloud sect, Holy Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect all have 3-star Venerable Masters. 2-star Venerable Masters and 1-star Venerable Masters are even more numerous. If they all gather at Dong Fu sect, they will have the advantage in numbers. Although you are strong, can you deal with them alone? The corners of Yixing's mouth curled up, and a green light appeared in his eyes. He said, You want to compete with me in numbers? Aren't you courting death? Hua Tianfeng understood and laughed happily. Not bad, not bad. I didn't think about that. Ha! On the same day, Yixing set up a new formation on the basis of the previous one. He had a lot of formation materials on him, and the Falling Star Sect's formation foundation was perfect. In just one day, Yixing repaired many level 3 formations. Moreover, when Yixing set up the formations, he integrated the formations he learned from Venerable Qingyun, making them even more powerful. On the 2nd day, Yixing entered the Qingyun Mountains. On the 4th day, Yixing agreed to attack Dong Fu sect. Dong Fu sect was ready, waiting for Yixing's arrival. In Dong Fu sect, there were not only martial artists from Dong Fu sect, but also venerable masters from the Flying Sky sect, the Divine Wind sect, and the Blood Spectre sect. Although the Blood Spirit sect's martial practitioners who had gone to Nine Heaven City were slightly slower than Yixing, they had returned 2 days ago with news that Yixing was in Nine Heaven City. The news quickly spread among the southern sections. First place in the Young Heroes competition. Invincible 3-star Venerable Masters. Destroyed the Sun Moon sect's stronghold in Nine Heaven City. This news shocked the martial artists of the 4 great sections. As for Venerable Master Wu Yu's public statement of protecting Yixing and the Blood Spectre sect's martial artists didn't know about it, because it happened after the Young Heroes competition. At that time, they were already on their way back to the Qingyun Mountains. Yixing was so powerful that the Flying Cloud sect, the Blood Spectre sect, and the Divine Wind sect couldn't compete with him. Only the Dong Fu sect, who had a venerable 4-star Venerable Master Watanabe Xiong, could remain calm, but he still felt a lot of pressure. Yixing's growth was so fast that he was already a Venerable Master at the age of 18. In 2 more years, he would be even more powerful. 2 years later, who could guarantee that a venerable 4-star Venerable would still be Yixing's opponent? Watanabe Xiong didn't dare to act rashly against Yixing. Now that Yixing had become powerful, once he made a move, he had to kill Yixing completely. He couldn't give Yixing a chance to turn things around. Since Yixing had agreed to go to the Dong Fu sect in 3 days, Watanabe Xiong also set his plan to kill Yixing on that day. The Dong Fu sect was his territory, so he had the advantage of formations. Of course, killing Yixing and the Dong Fu sect would give him the greatest advantage. In order to kill Yixing in one fell swoop, Watanabe Xiong sent out invitations to the Flying Cloud sect, the Blood Spectre sect, and the Divine Wind sect. These three sects didn't have the strength to fight against Yixing, so they naturally agreed to the Dong Fu sect's invitation. Moreover, they sent out their strongest team to help the Dong Fu sect. The venerable three-star venerables of the Flying Cloud sect, the Blood Spectre sect, and the Divine Wind sect all arrived. They were the grand elders of their respective sections. In addition, the sect masters of the three sects all arrived, each with one venerable two-star venerable and three venerable one-star venerable. Including the sect masters themselves, each sect sent out 6 venerable ones, 1 venerable 3-star venerable, 2 venerable 2-star venerable, and 3 venerable 1-star venerable. The 3 sects had a total of 18 venerable ones. Including the Dong Fu sect's venerable one, there were more than 20 of them. As for the Dong Fu sect Star Vortex Realm Martial Saints, needless to say, there were more than 1,000 of them. With so many martial saints, venerable ones, and the venerable 4-star venerable Watanabe Xiong, they were naturally confident in dealing with Yixing. The experts of the 4 sects were only worried that Yixing wouldn't show up, but would hide and cultivate instead of fighting with them. After 2 years, he would come back with a higher cultivation and stronger strength. At that time, even a venerable 4-star venerable wouldn't be able to stop him. Their worry was obviously unnecessary. Since Yixing said that he would come to the Dong Fu sect 3 days later to kill Watanabe Xiong, then he would definitely come. More than 20 venerable ones gathered in the hall. Watanabe Xiong sat in the main seat. The Flying Cloud sect's Yun Jiankong, the Blood Ghost sect's Amo Yuxi, and the Wind sect's Feng Heng sat below Watanabe Xiong. Below them were the venerable 2-star and venerable 1-star venerable ones. A half-step perfected person rushed into the hall and reported to Watanabe Xiong, reporting to the faction leader, Yixing has been found 300 miles north of our faction. Watanabe Xiong's eyes flashed and he smiled, he really dares to come. The eyes of the venerable ones lit up. They were afraid that Yixing wouldn't come. Compared to the excitement of the venerable ones, the half-step venerable one who reported looked a little depressed. Sweat could be seen on his forehead as he continued, Sect Master, although Yixing came alone, he brought an endless army of demonic beasts with him. I don't know how many of them there are. According to the sentries in front, they were all high level 2 demonic beasts, and there were even level 3 demonic beasts. The smiles of the venerable ones froze on their faces. Watanabe Xiong's eyes widened. What did you say? He brought an army of demonic beasts. The half-step venerable one said, yes, Sect Master. We lost contact with the sentries 300 miles north. I'm afraid they are already dead. The speed of the demonic beast army is very fast. I'm afraid it won't be long before they reach East Supporting Peak. An army of demonic beasts with an unknown number of level 2 demonic beasts, and there were even level 3 demonic beasts. What kind of terrifying force was this? The experts of the 4 sects wanted to use their numbers to bully Yixing. Now that Yixing brought an army of demonic beasts, the 4 sects' advantage was gone. The only advantage they had was Watanabe Xiong, a mid-level venerable one. However, the premise was that there were no mid-level level 3 demonic beasts in Yixing's army. Watanabe Xiong stood up from his seat and said, I should have thought of this. He knows the Blue Cloud sect's best spiritual martial art, Eye of Clear Cloud. He can control demonic beasts. The reason why he set the meeting 3 days later was to free up time to control the demonic beasts in Blue Cloud Mountain. Watanabe Xiong slammed the table and shouted, I should have gone to Falling Star sect to kill this kid as soon as I got the news. The venerable ones also stood up. The Flying Cloud sect master Yun Jiankong said, how can he have the Blue Cloud sect's best spiritual martial art, Eye of Clear Cloud? The rest of the venerable ones were also surprised and had the same question. Among the Dongfu sect's venerable ones, Shi Fengyi said, "He does know the Eye of Clear Cloud. I saw him use it with my own eyes and control the venerable one." The venerable ones could accept the fact that demonic beasts were controlled, but the fact that a venerable one was controlled made them feel a chill. Watanabe Shiong waved his hand to suppress the commotion and said, "Everyone, don't panic. It's hard to find mid-rank 3 demonic beasts in Blue Cloud Mountain. Even if there are rank 3 demonic beasts in this kid's demonic beast army, they should only be early rank 3 demonic beasts. When the time comes, all you have to do is hold back the early rank 3 demonic beasts and I can still kill this kid in the demonic beast army." The Blood Spectre sect master Mo Yuxi chuckled and said, "Speaking of eye techniques, although my Blood Spectre sect's Blood Spectre eye technique is not as good as Blue Cloud sect's Eye of Clear Cloud, it is still quite effective in controlling demonic beasts. My junior brothers and I are all experts in controlling demonic beasts. Yixing is dreaming if he wants to rely on his demonic beast army to attack us. That's right. We might not be able to control mid-rank 3 demonic beasts, but we still have some confidence in dealing with early rank 3 demonic beasts. The key to the demonic beast army is the early rank 3 demonic beasts. As long as we can deal with this problem, the rank 2 demonic beast army will be nothing. Everyone can come and go as you please. If the demonic beast army loses its effect, this kid will be like a tiger that has lost its claws and fangs. Killing him will be as easy as flipping your hand." The venerable ones of the Blood Spectre sect spoke one after another. Chapter 4:16. With Watanabe Shiong, a 4-star enlightened master, and a few enlightened masters from the Blood Ghost sect, Yixing's demonic beast army didn't seem that scary anymore. The enlightened masters became arrogant again. Watanabe Shiong ordered, "Activate the sect protecting formation." Then, he said to the enlightened masters, "Everyone, let's go to the North Peak and meet this kid's demonic beast army." The sect protecting formation was activated and a light barrier covered the entire east supporting peak. North of the east supporting peak, Watanabe Shiong and the other enlightened masters looked towards the north. Behind them, there were many martial saints from the east supporting sect. They hadn't seen Yixing yet, but they could already feel the ground shaking. It was as if a huge army was rushing towards them. The enlightened masters had strong eyesight and soon found Yixing and the demonic beasts. The first thing they saw were the demonic beasts flying in the sky. They were the vanguard of the demonic beast army and there were several hundred of them. At the front was a level 3 silver-winged demonic condor. Yixing stood on the back of the silver-winged demonic condor. He had already seen the enlightened masters on the east supporting peak. There were a total of 27 enlightened masters, 1 4-star enlightened master, 3 3-star enlightened masters, 10 2-star enlightened masters, and 13 1-star enlightened masters. Yixing smiled. There were so many enlightened masters. Obviously, the Flying Cloud sect, Blood Ghost sect, and Divine Wind sect had sent reinforcements. Moreover, there were many of them. This was exactly what Yixing wanted. He wanted to kill all the higher-ups of the 4 sects in one fell swoop. Moreover, Yixing saw the enemies who had attacked the Falling Star sect that day. The East supporting sect and Blood Ghost sect were there. The 2 from the Flying Cloud sect were already killed before Yixing went to the Nine Heaven City. The 2 from the Divine Wind sect were killed by Yixing in the Nine Heaven City. Today, he killed the 2 from the East supporting sect and Blood Ghost sect to avenge the sect master Lu Tianyuan and the elders. This was only the vengeance between the sect master and the elders. The vengeance of the Falling Stars sect was not something that could be settled with just a few enemies. There was only one result for a sect that destroyed the Yan that was to be destroyed. This was especially true for the East supporting sect, which had been enemies with the Falling Star sect for generations. The East supporting sect was the main force that destroyed the Falling Star sect. Countless Falling Star sect martial artists had died at the hands of the East supporting sect martial artists. Therefore, the Dong Fu sect couldn't let any of them go. Today, the Dong Fu sect would be completely wiped out. Those who had come to the Dong Fu sect were the upper echelons of the other three sections. Once these people were taken care of, the other three sects would collapse on their own without Yixing needing to do anything. As long as he could get rid of all the people in the Dong Fu sect today, all the hatred would be resolved. Very quickly, the several hundred flying beasts arrived at the north of East Rising Peak and stopped in the sky a few miles away. At this moment, the spiritual masters also saw the demonic beast army on the ground at the end of their vision. This was the real demonic beast army, they could not see the end of it. On the silver-winged devil eagle, Yixing shouted, "Watanabe Xiong, have you washed your dog head clean? I'm here to get it." Yixing and Watanabe Xiong had never met before, but they could tell who was Watanabe Xiong from their positions. His voice was roared out with astral force, and the sound waves were like waves, spreading out in all directions. His voice was like thunder, and all the martial artists in the Dong Fu sect heard it clearly. Watanabe Xiong's face darkened, and he shouted, "Kid, you've just broken through to the astral realm, and yet you're already so arrogant. You're born with a short life, and you won't live past today." Ha 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 ha. Yixing laughed, his voice wild and unruly. "Today, I'll lead the demonic beast army to destroy your sect and wash the Dong Fu sect with blood. No one will be left alive, and your Dong Fu sect will be emptied soon. Of course, there's no one in my eyes, only corpses." Today, Yixing only came for revenge. He went on a killing spree and washed Dong Fu with blood. He did not care about reason, nor did he care about grace, nor did he care about benevolence. There were a total of 27 perfected persons on the Dong Fu peak. They were confident before, but now, they felt a little depressed. Regardless of whether Yixing was condescending or arrogant, Yixing's attitude of looking down on them made them feel uncomfortable and depressed. Although Yixing was only one person, his aura was even stronger when facing 27 perfected masters. He was like a towering mountain that pierced through the clouds, making people look up to him. Mo Yuxi, the sect leader of the Blood Spectre sect, and Feng Heng, the sect leader of the Holy Wind sect, had seen Yixing at the 10 sects grand competition. This was their second meeting. Watanabe Xiong, the sect leader of the Dong Fu sect, had met Yixing for the first time. Only Yun Jiankong, the sect leader of the Flying Cloud sect, had seen Yixing's glory at the Spiritual Moon sect and Flying Cloud sect's gathering. He had witnessed Yixing's growth from a 5-star martial saint to a 1-star perfected person. When he was a 5-star martial saint, he had defeated a 7-star martial saint. When he was a 7-star martial saint, he had defeated a 9-star martial saint in the 10 sects grand competition. Now, Yixing was a 1-star perfected person, and it was said that he had defeated a 3-star perfected person in the Young Hero Assembly. Yun Jiankong sighed in his heart. He had to admit that Yixing was a peerless genius, a monstrous genius that he had never heard of. If he could turn back time, he would never have made an enemy of Yixing or the Falling Star sect. However, time could not be turned back. The choice that had been made could not be changed. Therefore, Yun Jiankong only had one thought, and that was that Watanabe Xiong could kill Yixing today. Otherwise, it would be a nightmare for any of the 4 sects. At this time, the demonic beast army on the ground had also approached. The demonic beasts were emitting violent auras, and the perfected persons could see the specific cultivation of the demonic beasts. The silver-winged demonic condor under Yixing's feet was equivalent to a 3-star perfected person. Among the hundreds of demonic beasts, there were 3 3-star demonic beasts, one of which was equivalent to a 2-star perfected person, and 2 of which were equivalent to a 1-star perfected person. In the demonic beast army on the ground, there were more 3-star perfected person, and there were more than 10 of them. Among them, there were 2 3-star perfected person, 5 2-star perfected person, and 9 1-star perfected person. There were a total of 23-star demonic beasts. It was 7 fewer than the 27 perfected persons on the east supporting peak. Moreover, there were 3-star demonic beasts on the east supporting peak. The east supporting sect had 3 3-star demonic beasts, one of which was equivalent to a 3-star perfected person, and 2 of which were equivalent to a 2-star perfected person. The Flying Clouds sect and the Holy Winds sect had 1 3-star demonic beast each, and the Blood Spectres sect had 2 3-star demonic beasts, both of which were equivalent to a 3-star perfected person. On the east supporting peak, there were 7 3-star demonic beasts, 5 of which were equivalent to a 3-star perfected person, and 2 of which were equivalent to a 2-star perfected person. This was also an extremely powerful force. Although the demonic beast army's numbers far exceeded the martial artists on the east supporting peak, they were at a disadvantage in terms of high-end combat power. The Azure Cloud mountain range was very vast with countless demonic beasts, but 3-star demonic beasts were not easy to find. Yixing was able to control 23-star demonic beasts in 2 days, which was already quite good. As for the 3-star demonic beasts, there was no need for Yixing to control them. Every 3-star demonic beast had their own territory in the depths of the Azure Cloud mountain range, and all the demonic beasts within their territory obeyed their orders. Yixing controlled the 3-star demonic beasts, and the 3-star demonic beasts commanded the 3-star demonic beasts. A demonic beast army was naturally formed. The perfected persons did not care about the number of 3-star demonic beasts. They only cared about the 3-star demonic beasts that were equivalent to perfected persons. Seeing that the 3-star demonic beasts brought by Yixing could not compare to the perfected persons and 3-star demonic beasts on the east supporting peak, the pressure in the perfected persons' hearts quickly dissipated, and their hearts calmed down. Watanabe Xiong swept his gaze and quickly judged the 3-star demonic beasts' numbers and strength, and a smile appeared on his face. Watanabe Xiong said, "Kid, do you think you can threaten us with this demonic beast army?" "Ha ha ha. Fellow perfected persons, help me block his 3-star demonic beasts. Watch how I kill this reckless thief in the midst of this demonic beast army." As he spoke, a silver light flashed behind Watanabe Xiong, and a pair of silver wings grew out. It was a middle-grade flying spiritual weapon. Seeing this, the perfected persons were even more delighted. Watanabe Xiong actually had a middle-grade flying spiritual weapon. In that case, even if Yixing also had a middle-grade flying spiritual weapon, it would be difficult for him to escape Watanabe Xiong's pursuit even if his cultivation was insufficient. In this way, killing Yixing was almost a certainty. Good. Sect Master Watanabe Xiong, don't worry and kill Yixing. We will deal with the 3-star demonic beasts. Sect Master Watanabe Xiong will definitely make this thief bleed in 5 steps, and kill him in 7 steps. The perfected persons shouted one after another, looking excited. Kill! Watanabe Xiong shouted and flapped the silver wings behind him. Like a flash of light, he instantly passed through the light shield of the formation and charged toward Yixing. The rest of the perfected persons also condensed their astral wings and rushed out of the light shield of the formation to kill the 3-star demonic beasts in the demonic beast army, so that Yixing could not get help from the demonic beasts. Seeing that all 27 perfected persons had rushed out of the light shield of the formation, Yixing was not surprised, but delighted. The corner of his mouth could not help but curl up. Falling Moon Massacre. Watanabe Xiong used the ultimate move of the Moon Vanquishing Saber technique. When this upper-grade spiritual weapon was used, the saber aura extended for hundreds of feet. Like a broken moon, it slashed toward Yixing with terrifying force. This saber aura was domineering and indomitable. It would kill even gods and Buddhas in its way. Flame Astrology. Facing a 4-star perfected person, Yixing did not dare to underestimate him. He immediately used the flame astrology. Wearing the upper-grade spiritual weapon, the blazing flame gloves, he used the blazing fist and punched out. Tiger roar and dragon roar. A fire dragon and a fire tiger appeared with this punch. The tiger's roar shook the sky and the dragon's roar was ear-piercing. As soon as Yixing attacked, he unleashed a strike at his peak state. The power of fire and the power of the star fire seed were all contained in this punch. The flaming fist had a destructive force that collided with the moon vanquishing saber aura. Boom! The explosion shook the sky. Astral currents splashed in all directions. Terrifying airwaves rushed in all directions as if there was a big explosion. A 4-star perfected person was indeed a mid-level perfected person. His strength was extraordinary. Even though the saber was blocked, it was still terrifying as it slashed forward. Yixing's peak state attack was enough to defeat a 3-star perfected person. However, in front of Watanabe Xiong, it was weak. Watanabe Xiong's body shook violently and shot backward. Yixing was shocked. The black wings appeared on his back and he turned to flee. Ha! Do you think you can escape? Watanabe Xiong laughed. He flapped his silver wings and chased after Yixing. Chapter 4:17. Watanabe Xiong's cultivation was profound, and his astral aura propelled his mid-grade flying spiritual weapon even faster than Yixing's. The distance between the two shrunk at a speed visible to the naked eye. The rest of the perfected masters were delighted. Yixing couldn't escape. As long as Yixing was killed, the demonic beast army wouldn't be a threat despite their numbers. The perfected masters would work together to kill a few third-level demonic beasts, and the demonic beast army would be routed. The key to this battle was whether they could kill Yixing, so the perfected masters' attention was on Watanabe Xiong and Yixing. They didn't attack the third-level demonic beasts fiercely, only delaying them so that they couldn't rescue Yixing. Kid, how dare you come to the Dongfu sect with this little ability? You're walking right into a trap. Watanabe Xiong quickly closed in on Yixing, roaring as he slashed down with his upper-grade spiritual weapon. A round of bright moonlight burst out. The pursuit took only a few breaths, but they were already more than 10 miles away from the Dongfu sect. The shock in Yixing's eyes disappeared, replaced by a murderous intent. Whoosh! A ray of black starlight shot out from between Yixing's eyebrows, shooting up into the sky and turning into a huge dark vortex. Boundless darkness suddenly shrouded Watanabe Xiong in all directions, making him shocked. Yixing used the black hole astrology, and at the same time, the wings on his back changed from the black feather wings to the azure cloud wings, doubling his speed. Watanabe Xiong's moonlight blade continued to shoot forward without slowing down, but Yixing easily dodged it. What astrology is this? Watanabe Xiong exclaimed, putting away his blade and assuming a defensive posture. He also used his own astrology, a high-grade metal attribute one. However, Watanabe Xiong's golden astrology was also shrouded in boundless darkness, appearing extremely dim. The black hole astrology was too advanced. Even though Watanabe Xiong's cultivation was 3 levels higher than Yixing's, his astrology couldn't disperse the darkness caused by the black hole astrology. The bright day had suddenly turned into night. It was so dark that one couldn't even see one's own fingers. Anyone who encountered such a situation would be shocked and inevitably lose their head out of fear. The perfected masters in the distance were also shocked. They didn't fall into the world of darkness, but they looked at the black hole astrology above Yixing with shock. A normal astrology was a star, but Yixing's astrology was a dark vortex. The perfected masters had never seen such an astrology before. What was even more shocking was that Yixing had already unleashed his flame astral avatar. At this moment, the flame astral avatar was still in the sky, but it had been pushed to a corner by the dark vortex. This meant that Yixing actually had two types of astrological signs. How could one person have two astrological signs? The enlightened masters found it hard to believe. What was even more shocking was yet to come. Whoosh! Another beam of starlight flew out from between Yixing's eyebrows and turned into a giant starry bow in the air. Ultimate astrology, Sagittarius astrology. Constellation astrology. Sagittarius astrology. The legendary ultimate astrology. He has 3 astrologues. The perfected masters exclaimed, their voices filled with shock and disbelief. Yixing wasn't Watanabe Xiong's opponent if he didn't use his trump card. Today, Yixing came for revenge, swearing to wipe out the Dongfu sect, so he didn't care about revealing his trump card in front of everyone. They were about to become a pile of corpses anyway, so it didn't matter if they knew Yixing's secret. When Yixing used the Sagittarius astrology, the sky bow appeared in his hand, a purple gold arrow knocked on the bow, aiming at Watanabe Xiong. In the world of darkness, Watanabe Xiong immediately felt a terrifying murderous intent. The aura of death shrouded him, making him feel that his life was no longer in his own hands. This feeling of death was extremely terrifying. Watanabe Xiong's heart tightened, and he shouted, "Kid, what tricks are you playing? If you have the ability, fight me with real swords and spears." As he spoke, Watanabe Xiong's hair stood on end, and he was extremely alert, guarding against his surroundings. The perfected masters looked at Watanabe Xiong in shock. They weren't shrouded in the world of darkness, so they could see that Yixing was only 1,000 meters away from Watanabe Xiong. However, Watanabe Xiong acted as if he didn't know where Yixing was. He was guarding in all directions, not focusing on Yixing's direction. Sect Master Watanabe, Yixing is 27 degrees to your left, about 2,600 steps away from you. Blood Spirit Sect Master Imo Yuxi's eyes were sharp, and he immediately warned Watanabe Xiong. At the same time that Imo Yuxi spoke, Yixing had already shot out his strongest arrow. As the arrow left the bowstring, a dragon's roar sounded, and it turned into a huge azure dragon. It instantly streaked across the void and pounced in front of Watanabe Xiong. The azure dragon arrow technique of the transformative realm contained the power of the Sagittarius constellation, and the power of 3 different realms of heaven and earth. Its power was extremely terrifying. Mo Yuxi's warning made Watanabe Xiong react instantly. With a loud shout, the spiritual weapon treasure sword in his hand shone brightly, and he slashed down in the direction where the arrow came from. Before the sword energy left his body, the azure dragon had already rushed up and collided with him. As a 4-star perfected master, Watanabe Xiong's strength exploded to the limit, and his attack was extremely terrifying. However, the power of the azure dragon was even more terrifying. The azure dragon waved its claws, and with a crisp sound, the sword energy dissipated, and the spiritual weapon treasure sword was instantly slapped away. Then, Watanabe Xiong's body was engulfed by the azure dragon. The azure dragon instantly rushed over Watanabe Xiong's body, and it turned into a ray of light and shot out from behind him. Puff fresh blood spurted out from Watanabe Xiong's throat, spraying into the sky. Watanabe Xiong's throat was pierced by an arrow. Watanabe Xiong clutched his neck, and his eyes were filled with horror. This arrow didn't just pierce his throat. A terrifying power exploded in Watanabe Xiong's body, and traveled along his meridians, destroying them one by one. How is this possible? Watanabe Xiong exclaimed in disbelief. He had cultivated to the 4-star perfected master with great difficulty, and became the strongest person in the southern part of the Qingyun region. He had never expected such an ending. The meridians in his body were destroyed, and the astral energy dissipated. The silver wings on his back lost the support of the astral energy, and they shrank and returned to his body. Watanabe Xiong's life was rapidly draining away, and his body fell from the sky. A formidable person of a generation had come to an end. Sect leader. On Dongfu Peak, a large number of Dongfu sect martial artists cried out in surprise. The founder of the Dongfu sect was only a 4-star perfected master, and there hadn't been another 4-star perfected master since the founder. It wasn't until Watanabe Xiong broke the record and reached the same level as the founder. In the Dongfu sect, Watanabe Xiong's prestige was very high. Every Dongfu sect martial artist worshipped Watanabe Xiong, and they believed that the Dongfu sect would rise to glory under his leadership, and surpass every sect in the southern part of the Qingyun region. However, Watanabe Xiong's throat was pierced by Yi Xing's arrow right in front of them. How could the Dongfu sect martial artists believe this? The perfected masters shuddered. No one had expected Yi Xing to be so powerful that he could kill Watanabe Xiong with one arrow. Yi Xing stared at Watanabe Xiong's falling body and shouted, "Watanabe Xiong, have you felt death? Soon, everyone in the Dongfu sect will follow in your footsteps. Today, I'll wash the Dongfu sect with blood, and leave no one alive. From now on, there will be no Dongfu sect in this world." The falling Watanabe Xiong's body shook violently, and his heart was filled with endless regret. The strong emotions caused him to die even faster. Run! The perfected masters were scared out of their wits, and they cried out one after another. They no longer had the courage to resist Yi Xing. Even Watanabe Xiong, a 4-star perfected master, was killed by Yi Xing with one arrow. Who would dare to resist Yi Xing? They only wanted to run away. The perfected masters were divided into 2 groups. Most of them rushed to Dongfu Peak, while a small number of them lost confidence in the Dongfu sect's formation and fled in all directions. The Dongfu sect's formation was a level 3 formation. It was effective against beginner perfected masters, but not against mid-level perfected masters. If Yi Xing could kill Watanabe Xiong, it was possible for him to break the Dongfu sect's formation. Since Yi Xing had exposed his trump card in front of them, he would not let any of them escape. He immediately ordered the level 3 demonic beasts to counterattack. All the level 3 demonic beasts went berserk and attacked crazily. The perfected masters had no choice but to block and delay their escape. At this moment, Yi Xing knocked another arrow, and his killing intent shrouded the perfected masters. In an instant, a world of darkness descended and shrouded all the perfected masters. It was so dark that they could not see their own fingers. The perfected masters were horrified. They suddenly understood why Watanabe Xiong could not see Yi Xing. It turned out that Yi Xing had such a trick up his sleeve. Whoosh! Whoosh! The arrows pierced through the sky, and they turned into azure dragons, white tigers, and vermilion birds. With each arrow, a perfected master was killed. There were also perfected masters who were struck by demonic beasts in the world of darkness. In a short span of 10 breaths, more than half of the 26 perfected masters had fallen. 7 were killed by Yi Xing, and 6 were eaten by demonic beasts. Another group of perfected masters identified the direction of Dongfu Peak and fled there with all their might. They barely escaped and passed through the formation's light barrier, escaping back to the Dongfu sect. Yi Xing prioritized the perfected masters who fled to other places. Naturally, only those who fled to Dongfu Peak survived. The 13 perfected masters who fled back to Dongfu Peak were all horrified. They sized each other up, and the shock in their eyes intensified. There was not a single level 3 perfected master among the 13. Only 2 level 2 perfected masters were left, and the rest were level 1 perfected masters. Most of those who died to demonic beasts were level 1 perfected masters. Those who died to Yi Xing's arrows were either level 2 perfected masters or level 3 perfected masters. They were all killed in one shot. 14 of the 27 perfected masters had fallen, including level 4 perfected masters and level 3 perfected masters. Only 2 level 2 perfected masters were left. The remaining perfected masters were all terrified, and their hearts were trembling. Yun Jiankong was one of the level 2 perfected masters who was fortunate enough to survive. At this moment, other than fear, there was only endless regret in his heart. Chapter 4:18. He's too scary. What should we do? Jiankong, you xia. All the 1-star enlightened masters were filled with shock and fear. The 2-star and 3-star enlightened masters of Dong Fu's sect were all dead. Everyone's eyes were on the remaining 2 enlightened masters, Flying Cloud sect's master Yun Jiankong and Blood Spectre sect's master Mo Yuxi. Yun Jiankong and Mo Yuxi looked at each other and saw fear and regret in each other's eyes. The 2 shouted at the same time, "Use the formation and defend with all your might." However, the 2 flew to the other side of the Dongfu Peak at the same time. They did not believe that the Dongfu sect's formation could stop Yixing. They only hoped that the Dongfu sect could delay him for a while they escaped from the other side. Outside the Dongfu sect, under Yixing's command, the demonic beast army led by the 3-star spiritual beasts divided into 2. One on the left and one on the right, they followed the Dongfu sect's formation to surround the entire Dongfu Peak. Yun Jiankong and Mo Yuxi, the 2 2-star spiritual masters, were Yixing's main targets. He spread the azure cloud wings behind him and flew outside the formation's light shield. Even if he flew in a curve, he was 1 step ahead of Yun Jiankong and Mo Yuxi to reach the other side of the Dongfu Peak. Yun Jiankong and Mo Yuxi had just rushed out of the formation's light shield when they saw Yixing suddenly appear. In an instant, they fell into a world of darkness. Whoosh! The arrow pierced through the air and the azure dragon roared. The azure dragon arrow style was instantly shot out. Yun Jiankong and Mo Yuxi screamed at the same time. They did not expect Yixing to appear and disappear so mysteriously. They quickly turned and rushed toward the Dongfu Peak. Although the surroundings were shrouded in darkness, they still had a sense of direction. However, the arrow's speed was much faster than their reaction. When the 2 turned, the azure dragon had already pounced on Mo Yuxi and pierced through his throat. Then, the arrow turned in the air and changed direction. Almost at the same time, it pierced through Yun Jiankong's body. Yun Jiankong and Mo Yuxi fell from the sky one after another. In the end, the 2 2-stars enlightened masters both died. Seeing Yun Jiankong and Mo Yuxi abandon the Dong Fu sect and flee, several 1-star enlightened masters also lost confidence in the Dong Fu sect's formation. They followed behind the 2 and fled. However, before they could leave, they saw Yun Jiankong and Mo Yuxi being killed by Yixing, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. They immediately stopped and didn't dare to take another step forward. Although the Dongfu sect's formation wasn't very reliable, it seemed that whoever got out of the formation first would be the first to die. There was only one path for the martial artists on East Supporting Peak, and that was to use the array to resist Yixing and the Demon Beast army. The 3rd-level formation master of the Dongfu sect was still there. He was a 1-star enlightened being. He said loudly, "Don't panic, our sect's formations have been accumulated for 1,000 years. With me controlling the formation, even a 4-star enlightened being might not be able to break in. Help me transfer astral energy and I'll push the formation's power to the limit. With dozens of 3rd-level formations, it's not impossible to kill this brat." Previously, Watanabe Xiong was there. As a 4-star enlightened being, he alone was more terrifying than the Dongfu sect's dozens of 3rd-level formations. In terms of power, Watanabe Xiong's attack might be on par with the dozens of 3rd-level formations, or even slightly inferior. However, formations were dead. Although they were powerful, they couldn't be moved. On the other hand, Watanabe's Xiong could move them at will. Therefore, when he saw that there weren't many third-level beasts in Yixing's demon beast army, Watanabe's Xiong led the enlightened beings to fight their way out of the formation. He had them restrain the third-level beasts while he went after Yixing. In the end, he had misjudged Yixing's strength and lost his life. The enlightened beings were also routed and suffered heavy losses. Now, the Dongfu sect's third-level formation master had become the backbone of the sect. Everyone's hopes were placed on him. The one-star enlightened beings gathered behind the third-level formation master and channeled their astral energy to him one by one, giving him an almost inexhaustible supply of astral energy. Although the strength of the third-level formation master's astral energy didn't increase by much, the quantity was no less than that of a 3-star enlightened being. Rise! The third-level formation master shouted as he pressed both hands to the ground. Astral energy swam underground, activating the formations one by one. Outside of East Support Peak, other than the light shield of the formation, there were layers upon layers of other formations. There were sword energy crisscrossing, saber light flashing, flood dragons, lions, tigers, snakes, leopards, eagles, cranes, and other ferocious beasts condensed from formation energy. They were all killing formations. In addition, there were formations of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and other attributes, all linked together. Among them, blazing flames, surging rivers, thousands of trees were like swords, sand and pebbles flew, and golden light illuminated the sky. Dozens of third-level formations were activated one after another. The entire Dongfu Peak was impenetrable. Even a 4-star enlightened being would find it difficult to gain an advantage. However, Yixing only let the demonic beast army surround the mountain, and didn't let them attack. Yixing also distanced himself from the layers of formations outside Dongfu Peak. He was at least a few li away, and didn't approach. Although the formations were activated, they couldn't be moved. If Yixing didn't go forward, no matter how powerful the formations were, they couldn't touch him. In the sky, Yixing's azure cloud wings unfolded behind his back. Black Hole, Sagittarius, and Flame constellations shone in the sky. In his hand, he held the heavenly bow. Wind, fire, and darkness realm, the 3 subtle realm forces of heaven and earth were constantly activated. His aura was still maintained at peak condition. As an archery expert, Yixing didn't need to rush up and engage in close combat with the enemy. He only needed to shoot arrows from afar, and that was his strongest attack. To a formation set up with a formation base, an archery expert was simply the nemesis, and could only take a beating. The third-rank formation master of Dongfu sect wanted to use the formation to counterattack when Yixing led the demonic beast army to attack. But now, not a single demonic beast attacked, and only Yixing was shooting from afar. His face immediately turned ugly. He borrowed the power of several perfected masters to activate dozens of formations. It was like a person who had unleashed his power to the highest level, only to find that the distance between him and his enemy was too far, and his attack range was not enough. Everything was in vain, and all his efforts were in vain. The most important thing was that he couldn't attack the enemy, but the enemy could attack him. Facing Yixing's arrows, Dongfu's sect side could only take a beating for nothing. His arrows definitely can't break my sect's formations. With dozens of formations activated, the power erupting will definitely be able to shatter the arrows. The third-rank formation master of Dongfu's sect could only think of this to strengthen his confidence. Yixing pulled back the heavenly bow, but didn't rush to shoot an arrow. At this moment, his super brain was scanning, and his eyes were looking for flaws in the dozens of formations outside Dongfu Peak. There was no such thing as a perfect formation. As long as Yixing could find the flaws in the formation, he would be able to break the dozens of layers of formations with minimal effort. Time passed by, second by second. Yixing's delay in attacking made the martial artists on Dongfu Peak feel even more oppressed. It was as if there was a rock on their chests, and it was getting heavier by the second. The martial artists were puzzled. What was Yixing doing? The formation masters all frowned as a sliver of surprise flashed through their eyes. They obviously knew that all formations had flaws, and archers possessed far greater insight than regular people. Yixing had drawn his bow instead of shooting. Clearly, he was observing the flaws in the formation. Our sex formations are layered upon layers, and they're all interconnected. It's impossible for him to find the flaws in the formations, unless he's a level 3 array grandmaster, but that's impossible. The third-rank formation master of Dongfu sect thought to himself. After 30 breaths of time, Yixing's eyes suddenly exploded with a brilliant light. His killing intent intensified several times, and his aura skyrocketed. On the East Fulcrum Peak, the hearts of several array masters inexplicably tightened. They had a bad feeling from Yixing's gaze. It was a gaze of confidence that could see through everything. Did this mean that Yixing had really found the flaws in the formations? The worries of the array masters were quickly verified. At this moment, Yixing finally released the arrow that was already on the bow. Azure Dragon Arrow style, the arrow morphed into an Azure Dragon. A 300-meter-long Azure Dragon traversed several kilometers in the air and slammed into the formations outside Dongfu Peak. Boom! With a loud explosion, the Azure Dragon plunged deep into the formations and rampaged through them. Layer after layer of formations crumbled under the dragon's assault, disappearing into nothingness. The arrow was so fast that by the time the Dongfu sect's third-rank formation master reacted, several layers of formations had already been destroyed by the Azure Dragon arrow style. Kill! The level 3 array master roared. Immediately, more than 10 layers of array formations were activated. Sword Light, Saber Light, Fire Dragon, Water Flood Dragon. All kinds of array formations attacked the Azure Dragon. The simultaneous attack of more than 10 layers of formations was immensely powerful and scattered the Azure Dragon. The arrow's strength was exhausted and sent flying. However, at this moment, Yixing shot out his second arrow. White Tiger Arrow style. The arrow morphed into a 300-meter-long white tiger and traversed several kilometers in the blink of an eye, charging into the layers of formations from another location. Yixing's arrow was imbued with the wind force of the arcane realm, so it was extremely fast. The moment the arrow was shot out, it had already pierced through the layers of formations. A grade 3 array master would not be able to react quickly enough to block it. By the time the third-rank formation master reacted and activated the remaining formations to destroy the white tiger arrow style, at least 4 or 5 layers of formations had been forcibly destroyed by the arrow from their weak points. The martial artists on East Boost Peak once again had looks of fright on their faces. The layers of formations didn't seem to be able to withstand Yixing's attack for long. Moreover, Yixing's attack had broken through several layers of formations. The Dongfu sect's third-rank formation master's counterattack had only repelled Yixing's arrow. It hadn't even touched a hair on Yixing's head. Seeing Yixing shatter layer after layer of formations outside Dongfu Peak, the cultivators on Dongfu Peak were terrified out of their wits. Chapter 419. Azure Dragon Arrow Style. White Tiger Arrow Style. Vermilion Bird Arrow Style. Yixing stood in the sky several kilometers away, firing arrow after arrow. Yixing knew the weaknesses of the Dongfu sect's formations and aimed at them with every arrow. The Dongfu sect's formations were connected layer by layer, allowing their power to increase gradually. However, once a formation was destroyed, it would cause a chain reaction. Therefore, every time Yixing shot out an arrow, several layers of formations would be broken one after another. Under Yixing's attack, even if the Dongfu sect had a level 3 formation master controlling the formation, it was futile. They could only take a beating. Seeing the formations outside Dongfu Peak dwindle one after another, the cultivators on the peak grew more and more terrified. Those with weaker mental fortitude even started wailing. Boom! Soon, the last formation was completely destroyed by Yixing's arrows. Dongfu Peak, the heart of the Dongfu sect, was completely defenseless. Roar! With a wave of Yixing's hand, 10,000 beasts roared in unison, their voices shaking the heavens. Under the lead of the third-level beasts, the monster army charged up Dongfu Peak. We surrender. We're willing to join the Fallen Star sect. Spare us, Sir Yi. We surrender. Have mercy, Sir Yi. When the monster army charged up Dongfu Peak, all the cultivators were scared witless. Their hearts trembled violently, and there was nothing left in their eyes but terror as they begged for mercy. The Fallen Star sect doesn't need traitors. In the sky several kilometers away, Yixing's voice was cold as he issued an order to the third-level beasts. Kill them all, leave no one alive. Whether it was in terms of hatred or reason, these people had to be killed. In terms of hatred, it was only natural that the Fallen Star sect would be wiped out. In terms of reason, Yixing had exposed all his trump cards today, so these people couldn't be left alive. Blood blossomed on Dongfu Peak, accompanied by endless screams. It was like hell on earth as blood flowed like rivers. Yixing was several miles away in the sky. He turned around, his back facing east supporting Peak. Although the hatred in his heart was so great that he wanted to kill the Dongfu sect martial practitioners one by one, he still couldn't bear to do so when it came time to do so. It was one thing to want to kill, but it was another to do it with one's own hands. If Yixing were to personally take action and kill the defenseless Dongfu sect cultivators in front of him, perhaps he really wouldn't be able to do it if over 1,000 people died at his hands. Therefore, Yixing killed his way into the Dongfu sect and brought an army of monsters with him. In the battle, the demonic beast army did not play much of a role. Now, it was time for them to show their worth. The army of demonic beasts charged towards the Dongfu sect. They showed no mercy, only bloodshed. As for Yixing, as long as he hardened his heart, a single order would be enough. On Dongfu Peak, Enlightened Being 1 star had a level 3 beast to deal with, while the rest of the martial practitioners were dealt with by level 2 beasts. The army of monsters swarmed in from all directions. Not a single martial practitioner could escape. Even the level 3 formation master with his level 3 disc couldn't stop the attacks of 3 level 3 monsters. In just a few breaths, the silver-winged condor had cut him in two. The slaughter didn't last long. Soon, the screams on Dongfu Peak ceased. The martial practitioners and monsters of the Dongfu sect were all annihilated. The reinforcements from the Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect were all killed. After the slaughter, Yixing still didn't turn around or glance at Dongfu Peak. Instead, he landed on a mountain peak and carved a line of words with his astral energy. Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect, if you don't disband, the Dongfu sect will be your end. The Dongfu sect was much stronger than the Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect, but it was still annihilated. Yixing's message was a threat. If the other 3 sects knew, they would most likely disband to prevent Yixing from making another trip. The Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect were different from the Dongfu sect. They didn't have any great enmity with the Fallen Star sect. When the Fallen Star sect was annihilated, the 3 sects had only sent out enlightened beings to intercept Lu Tianyuan's group. Therefore, Yixing only needed to disband the 3 sections. It could be considered their annihilation as revenge for the Fallen Star sect. The silver-winged condor quickly flew over and Yixing leaped onto its back. Behind the condor were 2 2-star enlightened beings, both scarlet-winged flying lions. The other two were three-star enlightened beings, the saber-toothed saber tiger and the black-skinned bear. They ran over and stood below Yixing, looking up at the sky. Whoosh! The silver-winged condor flapped its wings and flew towards the direction of the fallen star sect. Behind it, the two scarlet-winged flying lions followed closely. On the ground, the saber-toothed saber tiger and the black-skinned bear also took large strides, crossing mountains and ridges as they followed Yixing. Yixing brought these 5 demonic beasts back to the fallen star sect as sect protector demonic beasts. Sect protector demonic beasts had to be completely tamed. Even if Yixing wasn't in the fallen star sect, they would still listen to the orders of the fallen star sect's martial artists. Yixing could control dozens of early rank 3 demonic beasts at once, but when Yixing wasn't around, these dozens of rank 3 demonic beasts might go out of control. Leaving them in the sect would be a hidden danger. Therefore, Yixing only brought 5 demonic beasts back. He had full confidence that he could completely tame these 5 demonic beasts. The other rank 3 demonic beasts led the demonic beast army back to the Green Cloud Mountain range. There might be a large amount of storage rings and resources left behind on the Dongfu Peak, but Yixing wasn't interested and didn't take anything away. It wasn't that he didn't care about these resources. No matter what, the more resources the better for the fallen star sect's reconstruction. But in Yixing's heart, there was a hurdle that he couldn't cross. The reason why he massacred the Dongfu sect was because the people of the Dongfu sect had to die, and not because he wanted to steal their things. Even if the people of the Dongfu sect died, their things would be taken away by others sooner or later. Since the Dongfu sect was destroyed by Yixing, it was only right and reasonable for Yixing to take the things of the Dongfu sect. But once Yixing took the things of the Dongfu sect, there would be another reason for him to massacre the Dongfu sect. It was to steal their resources. Although no one saw it, Yixing knew in his heart that it wasn't to steal their resources, it was to take revenge. But this time, he massacred the Dongfu sect and killed too many people. Blood flowed like a river. Yixing needed to give himself an unassailable reason. Revenge for the sect, he had to kill them. Other than that, there couldn't be any other reason. He wasn't a bloodthirsty demon, nor was he a psychopathic murderer. He wouldn't go on a killing spree just to steal their resources. If he took the items of the Dongfu sect afterwards, he might develop an inner demon in his heart. Even if it didn't happen for the time being, it would still leave a hidden danger. Perhaps one day, Yixing would encounter an inner demon in his martial path and have such thoughts. Back then, you massacred the entire Dongfu sect because you stole their resources. Today, you can do the same. Kill, 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 kill. Kill them all and take their resources. Kill anyone who dares to stop you. Kill anyone who has the resources. Yixing had to put an end to any chance of his inner demons developing. His path of martial arts was to stick to his heart. He was not a saint who treated the world with kindness, nor was he a demon who treated the world with a murderous heart. Kindness had its own Tao, and killing had its own Tao. Yixing had his own Tao and his own standards in his heart. When Yixing returned to the first thing he did was tame a few demon beasts and let them guard the sect. Then, Yixing placed his focus on comprehending the formation. He couldn't guard the sect all the time, and there were no other experts in the Falling Star sect except for him. Yixing knew how important formations were to the safety of the sect. The green cloud venerates array formation knowledge was in his mind. As long as Yixing focused on comprehending it, it wouldn't be long before his array formation standards would continue to rise. By the time he completely mastered the green cloud venerates array formation knowledge, he would definitely become a level 3 array formation grandmaster. If he could set up a level 3 formation successfully, then even a high-level astral realm sage wouldn't be able to invade the Falling Star sect. While Yixing was comprehending formations in the news of the Dongfu sect's destruction spread rapidly in the Qingyun area. Although no one knew about the massacre, the Dongfu sect was a large sect with a large number of people. Not all the martial artists happened to be in the sect. When these martial artists returned to their sects, they naturally found out about the Dongfu sect's destruction. Moreover, the Flying Cloud sect, Divine Wind sect, and Blood Spectre sect had sent 6 of their sect masters, grand elders, and inner elders to the Dongfu sect. Now that they had disappeared, the 3 sects would definitely send people to investigate. They would also find out about the Dongfu sect's destruction and Yixing's handwriting. As Yixing expected, even Watanabe Xiong was killed and the Dongfu sect was massacred. When the martial artists of the other 3 sects heard the news, they were all scared out of their wits. In the 3 sects, most of the remaining sages were 1-star sages. There were only 1 or 2 2-star sages, and none of the 3-star sages. With such strength, even without the threat of Yixing, it would be difficult for them to protect a sect. A 3-star sage's sage was enough to threaten the survival of these 3 sections. Under the discussion of sages the 3 sects were all disbanded. The fate of the Dongfu sect was still vivid in their minds. They didn't dare to disobey Yixing's warning. Moreover, the sages of the 3 sects were afraid of the Falling Star sect's revenge. They didn't even dare to stay in the southern part of the Green Cloud region. They either brought their disciples or juniors to the northern part of the Green Cloud region or left the Green Cloud region to explore other regions of the True Xian domain. When the news spread to the northern part of the Green Cloud region, the 4 northern sects were all shocked. They had never thought that the Dongfu sect, which had a 4-star sage's sage like Watanabe Xiong, would be wiped out by the Falling Star sect. Though there were no other experts except for Yixing. The destruction of the Dongfu sect was obviously directly related to Yixing. How could Yixing destroy the Dongfu sect? No one saw what happened that day. The martial artists of the 4 northern sects were all shocked and puzzled. They didn't believe that Yixing had such heaven-defying strength as a 1-star sage's sage to be able to kill a 4-star sage's sage. This was because Yixing's performance at the Young Hero competition was only that of a 3-star sage's sage. The 3-star sage's strength was still far from that of a 4-star sage's sage. Chapter 420. Most of the martial artists guessed that Yixing must have had someone helping him in the background to destroy the Dongfu sect. Yixing was valued by Master Wu Yu of the Big Dipper sect during the Young Hero Assembly. Afterward, Master Wu Yu even met with Yixing. If Yixing had a powerful backer, it would undoubtedly be the Big Dipper sect. The Big Dipper sect was one of the 9 greater sects. It was a superior 1-star sect and was extremely powerful. If Yixing had the help of the Big Dipper sect, killing Wu Bianxiong, a 4-star sage, would be a piece of cake. The Sun Moon sect had the biggest reaction to the massacre of the Dongfu sect. This was because other than the Dongfu sect, the Falling Star sect's biggest enemy was the Sun Moon sect. The Sun Moon sect treated the disciples of the Falling Star sect as slaves and sent them to the 9 Heaven City to be sold. Yixing then destroyed the Sun Moon sect's hotspot in the 9 Heaven City. The Sun Moon sect naturally wanted to kill Yixing. However, because they guessed that Yixing had the help of the Big Dipper sect, the Sun Moon sect didn't dare to act rashly. Yixing returned to the Clear Sky region in a powerful manner. The Sun Moon sect was divided into 2 factions as to how to get along with Yixing. Yixing has the help of the Big Dipper sect. Our sect is no longer able to contend against him. We should improve our relationship with Yixing and resolve our hatred. The reconstruction of the Falling Star sect will definitely require a large amount of resources. Our sect should send a big gift and make peace with Yixing. Only then can we resolve our sect's crisis. Otherwise, from the fact that Yixing massacred the Dongfu sect, he isn't a merciful person. The Sun-Moon sect might learn from his mistakes. The elder led by Zhang Daohe, a 5-star sage, proposed to make peace with a gift to resolve the hatred. Yixing is a thief who hates our sect. How can he humiliate our Sun-Moon sect with a gift? Furthermore, from the fact that Yixing massacred the Dongfu sect and destroyed our sect's stronghold, he is a ruthless person. How can he truly resolve the hatred? If that's the case, he will take the opportunity to recuperate. Once his strength surpasses our sect, he will definitely make a move against us. The Dongfu sect is our fate. The Dongfu sect. To deal with this thief, we have to take the initiative and kill him. The Sun-Moon sect, a 5-star sage, Yang Ba, proposed. And Yixing. This generation of disciples of the Sun-Moon sect was the most outstanding generation since the establishment of the Sun-Moon sect. Among them, the disciples of the Sun clan were the most outstanding. Yin Yang Young Master Yang Ming, Great Sun Young Master Yang Gan, and the third disciple, Yang Kuan, were all disciples of the Yang clan. Yixing destroyed the Sun-Moon sect's stronghold in Nine Heaven City. Yang Kuan was killed by Yixing in front of everyone. Yang Ming's whereabouts were unknown. Yang Ming saw Yixing's potential and felt that the Sun-Moon sect was unreliable. He had already escaped from the True Xian domain. Among the three, only Yang Gan was said to be alive. The Yang clan's disciples had suffered heavy losses. As the leader of the Yang clan, how could Yang Ba tolerate this? Of course, he proposed to kill Yixing. The Yang clan was the biggest clan in the Sun-Moon sect. They had a large number of people. Yang Ba proposed to kill Yixing. He received the support of most of the elders and had the upper hand. In the Sun-Moon sect, the Grand Elder, Yin Hongdan, was roaming outside. Within the sect Master Yin Wudao, Grand Guardian Zhang Daohe, and Yang Ba, the 3 5-star sages, had the highest positions. Now, Zhang Daohe proposed to sue for peace, while Yang Ba wanted to kill him. This put the sect Master Yin Wudao in a difficult position. Because of the strength of the Heavenly Dipper sect, Yin Wudao, like Zhang Daohe, wanted to sue for peace. However, there were too many elders supporting Yang Ba. Yin Wudao couldn't make up his mind. He could only let Zhang Daohe and Yang Ba decide who would win first. Zhang Daohe said, Yixing has the help of the Heavenly Dipper sect. How can we do anything to him? If we kill him, the hatred will intensify and there will be no way to resolve it. The Sun-Moon sect will follow in the footsteps of the Dongfu sect. Yang Ba said, I've already said it clearly. Yixing won't resolve the hatred sincerely. If we sue for peace, it will give him time to bury himself. The Sun-Moon sect will follow in the footsteps of the Dongfu sect. Zhang Daohe said, but we can't kill him now. You should know what kind of sect the Heavenly Dipper sect is. Yang Ba said, of course I know. However, Yixing isn't from the Heavenly Dipper sect. Moreover, the Sun-Moon sect isn't comparable to the Dongfu sect. It's one of the most powerful forces in the Qingyun region. If the Heavenly Dipper sect dares to destroy the Sun-Moon sect, it will definitely attract the hatred of all the 1-star medium sects in the True Xian region. The Heavenly Dipper sect has to weigh the consequences and see if it's worth it. I will kill Yixing with lightning speed. The Heavenly Dipper sect is interested in Yixing's potential. If Yixing dies, will the Heavenly Dipper sect go against the sect for a dead person? If the Heavenly Dipper sect wants to avenge Yixing and ask for an explanation from the Heavenly Dipper sect, I will apologize with my life so that the Heavenly Dipper sect won't have a reason to go against the sect. This. Hearing Yang Ba's words, Zhang Daohe was speechless. Yin Wudao stood up and cupped his fists towards Yang Ba. For the sake of the sect, Protector Yang is willing to give up his life. You are truly a role model for our sect. What else can I say? I can only help Protector Yang succeed. Young Ba said, "Speed is the most important thing in war. I will move now. Before the Heavenly Dipper sect can react, I will kill Yi Xing with lightning speed." Yin Wudao sent 2 4-star sage to accompany Yang Ba to the south of the Qingyun region to kill Yi Xing, south of the Qingyun mountain range, outside the Falling Star sect. Boom 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 boom, the sound of explosions shook the heavens. The supreme guardian of the Sun-Moon sect, Yang Ba, and the sect leader of the Tian Luo sect, Luo Zhan, were fighting fiercely. Although the 2 3-star sages of the Tian Luo sect had followed the group of Falling Star sect disciples and hadn't returned yet, they had already sent someone to pass on the news. Luo Zhan had already thought highly of Yi Xing during the 10 sects competition. After learning about Yi Xing's performance at the Young Hero competition, he had a whole new level of respect for Yi Xing. He had made Yi Xing his most important ally. After hearing that the Dongfu sect had been destroyed, Luo Zhan had prepared a big gift and brought people to the Falling Star sect immediately. He had arrived earlier than the people of the Sun-Moon sect. When the people of the Sun-Moon sect arrived, Luo Zhan naturally stood up for Yi Xing and fought against Yang Ba. The 2 5-star sages fought fiercely. As soon as they attacked, the astral light shot out more than 1,000 feet. The ground cracked instantly and some small mountains were directly cut in half. Yang Ba had used an upper-class spiritual martial art, the burning saber technique. The saber aura was shocking. Each saber carried with it scorching flames. The saber aura shot out more than 1,000 feet and shook the heavens and the earth. Luo Zhan had also used an upper-class spiritual martial art, the heavenly net palm. Luo Zhan had used an upper-class spiritual weapon. Each of his palms was 1,000 feet large palm print that had the power to pull up a mountain. The palm print was ever-changing. No matter how strong the saber aura was, it was defeated by the 1,000 feet large palm print. Today, Yang Ba had come to kill Yi Xing. He was risking his life. Whether it was astral energy, astrology, martial arts, or the power of the general, he had used all of them to the limit. However, in terms of cultivation, Yang Ba was inferior. He was at the middle stage of the 5th star realm, while Luo Zhan was at the peak of the 5th star realm. Yang Ba was only the 3rd most powerful person in the Sun-Moon sect, while Luo Zhan was the most powerful person in the Tian Luo sect. Even though Yang Ba was almost risking his life, he was getting weaker and weaker in front of Luo Zhan. The heavenly net palm print in Luo Zhan's hands had the power to hit the stars and catch the moon. In the end, Yang Ba was forced to retreat. Yang Ba, who was retreating, roared, "Luo Zhan! This brat has nothing to do with you. Why do you insist on standing up for him? If I don't kill this brat today, I'm not a man. Do you want me to burn my astral energy and perish with you?" Luo Zhan was unmoved. He was still in a fierce battle. He smiled and said, "Perish with me. You can try." After a few moves, Yang Ba, who was retreating, did not burn his astral energy. Instead, he borrowed the strength of Luo Zhan's palms to escape. The 2 4 celestial enlightened masters from the Sun-Moon sect immediately followed. Yang Ba's target was Yi Xing. If he burned his astral energy, the most he could do was perish together with Luo Zhan. However, Yi Xing was still alive. The threat of the Sun-Moon sect was still there. Naturally, he could not sacrifice himself for nothing. Luo Zhan's goal was to prevent Yang Ba from killing Yi Xing. Since Yang Ba had escaped, he naturally did not pursue him. Looking at Yang Ba's retreating figure, Luo Zhan said loudly, "Yang Ba, from today on, I will guard the Falling Star sect until the experts of the Tiangang sect arrive." "You want to kill Yi Xing? Dream on." Dozens of miles away, Yang Ba stopped. His eyes were full of unwillingness and indignation. The 2 4 celestial enlightened masters quickly caught up. One of them said, Lord Protector, the Falling Star sect has another stronghold. Since Luo Zhan is here to protect Yixing, should we go and destroy the other stronghold? The other 4 celestial enlightened masters said, that's right. The 2 places are too far apart. It's impossible for them to help each other. Yixing is a coward. Let's destroy the other stronghold and see if he will come out. Yang Ba looked in the direction of the Falling Star sect. He let out a long sigh and shook his head. If Yixing is dead, it doesn't matter if he kills everyone in the Falling Star sect. But if he's not dead, don't spread the hatred. This guy is ruthless. If he kills one more person from the Falling Star sect today, he will definitely receive double the revenge. It's not good for our sect. If 4 celestial enlightened master asked, then what should we do? Yang Ba turned his eyes and said, you guys go back. I'll stay. I don't believe that Yixing won't leave the sect alone. I'll find a chance to kill him. In the Yixing thanked Luo Zhan, thank you for your help, sect leader Luo. Although Yixing could escape with the azure cloud wings after Yangba broke the formation of the Yangba could not threaten Yixing's life. However, Yixing was very grateful for Luo Zhan's help. He had already rearranged the formation of the Falling Star sect. He did not want to be attacked a second time. Luo Zhan laughed and said, you're welcome. Yixing, my little friend, I knew you were extraordinary back in the 10 sects tournament. Ha! I was right. How long has it been? You've already made such achievements. In the future, the entire Qingyun region will be your world. Ha! Yixing smiled and said, the Qingyun region is too small. Luo Zhan said, I know your ambition. Maybe the true Xian domain is too small in your eyes. If you can make a name for yourself in the true Xian domain or other regions, it will be the glory of the Qingyun region. I believe that it won't be long before I see it. Ha! You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.